Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to have you here. It is 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. I am joined tonight for situations like this by my inestimable colleague, Reuben Christopher Haynes. We are going to do a live stream covering the Ron DeSantis Gavin Newsom debate, assuming technology holds up and we don't all crash the internet. So, yeah, I know. Anyway, if you're here for the first time, welcome to my little channel. I am on YouTube, I'm on Rumble, I am on Twitter, as we are with this broadcast right now. Reuben has a channel of his own. Reuben, where can everybody find you on YouTube and other social media places?
Find me at Reuben Haynes. Like I'm on X at Reuben Haynes. You could find me on Instagram. Everything's at Reuben Haynes, and it's out there. I put the link down in the private chat. You can send that out there so everyone has it there.
Very cool. Very, very cool. All right, folks, we're sitting around. We've got some folks stopping in already, which we're always glad to see them. So we are on YouTube. We're on Rumble. We are on Twitter. Everybody's starting to settle into their seats. Glad to have everybody here. And if you are new to my channel, welcome. We're glad to have you. This is kind of an interesting discussion, or I should say debate, because I thought I think Reuben was mentioning to me before we went on, he saw it somewhere. This is the debate that no one wants. And I say it's weird, and Reuben, feel free to chime in on this at whatever point you want to, in that neither one of these individuals are their party's respective nominee. It's not October or September of 2024. Yet we have two governors from two different parties of two very distinct styles, two different ideologies, and for some reason they're debating at the tail end of November 2023. From DeSantis' perspective, I don't understand why he's doing this. I mean, it'd be one thing, like I said, if we were in the heat of a presidential campaign and these were the nominees, I'd understand that. This I don't get. Beyond the question of being able to say, okay, I'm raising my profile and trying to do whatever there. But past that, I don't get it. I don't see what he's getting out of this.
This is an act of desperation from a desperate campaign. His entire, and again, we mentioned this in the pre-game show, that we were there when we anticipated this announcement to happen on X. And that was a disaster right there. It started off on the wrong foot. We all remember how that was. And every single thing that he has done has proved that Trump was right in regards to how, disingenuous, sanctimonious he is.
Yep.
And again, I have no respect for Gavin Newsom, and I'm losing respect rapidly for Ron DeSantis. So I want to see this, and I want to analyze, because again, these people are puppets, in my opinion. The people behind them are actually the power. So I want to see what the power brokers are coming, because again, Biden can't get a sentence in correctly, and everyone is in denial on that on the mainstream media. And then the mainstream media is also is complete apoplectic, seizures with TDS, and doesn't listen to anything that Trump says, even though everything he has done has been correctly and proven. The last 3 years have been the worst 3 years that I could have ever seen on every aspect, be it cultural, be it news, be it ordinary life. And to basically see people who I've told them before, when this was all going to happen, when Biden was running, that the economy would crash and that you'd have, forget the dollar menu, you'd have a $10 menu. And again, as you see, McDonald's has a $16 Big Mac now, because it is going to only get worse. People need to wake up.
He survived a Trump administration.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, and then seeing what we have here is going to be a very, it's a preview of what the mainstream media, or not mainstream media, the mainstream line politics, what the normal, or what the Democratic elite and the Republican elite are talking. So it's basically the people in their ivory towers talking, and we're going to see how disingenuous they truly are.
I agree.
And out of touch, and completely out of touch with the American people.
I agree. Yeah, this debate is just, no, it's not. No, you know, hello, Bob. Glad to have you here. No, I don't think I or Ruben, either one, are trashing DeSantis. I mean, it's the man's 30 or 40 points behind in a poll, depending on whose poll you look at. I mean, I don't know that I'd go so far as to call it an act of desperation. I think he's trying to, raise his profile, but look, we're just being honest about it. The man's behind in the polls. He's debating someone who's not a Republican candidate. Why is he doing this? That's kind of what I mean, beyond the question of raising his profile, I just don't quite get why he's doing this. But I'm interested enough that I want to try and watch this if at all possible. So
Ron DeSantis is sanctimonious completely. He is just I voted for him as governor. I'm a Florida resident. And he has disappointed me completely. And he has towed the line, and it's a tragedy. And he's listening to one person, his wife, who has him by the balls, unfortunately.
And like I say, we'll see how this thing goes. Now, we're trying to get this thing put together, and we've got a little bit of time to do it. So we're trying to get around any technical issues that we've got right now. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, we've got the Fox News site pulled up for this. There's going to be a lot of people streaming in. Hopefully we're able to do this without much lag. So if there is, I apologize in advance. So we'll see what happens. We're trying to get all this worked out. But yeah, we're going to watch this and make it happen. So, well, Bob, sorry you didn't want to stay. Glad you at least got to stop by.
You can leave, because that's what again. But be butthurt and you leave. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Again, words don't hurt me unless I'm not. I don't think words are violence. I think words are words.
Yeah.
That's basically it. So yeah, bye, Bob. Or I should say, it's okay. I can say it, Bob. Go fuck yourself.
No,
as Elon said it. Elon said it.
No.
Bob, I'm talking about Bob Iger. I'm quoting Bob.
Well, no.
I know. I'm playing.
We're not doing that to Bob's setback or anybody else.
I know. I'm playing. I'm sorry. I apologize. Right.
Yes. All right. Okay. So anyway, where's the link to the Rumble? Okay. If you're talking about my channel, I will see what I can do about making that happen. Yes, I have a link. But yes. So folks, we're trying to do this and be able to get all this taken care of. That we know this is going to start here in the next couple of minutes. So get all this taken care of. That we know this. Okay. There we go. Got that done. Let me pop back over here.
Is that right? Yeah, I'm trying to do the same thing. I'm trying to find something.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Fox pulled up here, but I know what's going to happen. We're gonna stream into this thing, and it's just going to lag, and we're trying to find a way to avoid that for everybody. So,
like I say, let it go and pause it. I would say let's let the debate start for about a 5-minute, do a lead in, and then it's the only way to ensure that we can at least have that buffer there.
Yeah.
And I think that if we have to stop, either of us say pause, and that would help out also. So that is a question or whatever, and then we can pause and let the thing buffer more, so we don't lose it. That's the only way.
Yeah. But if we can find an alternative way to put it up here for everybody, we're definitely working on that right now. So, and again, I'm not trying to criticize DeSantis, and if someone out there thinks I am, apologies in advance. I just, like I say, you're running for president in the Republican primary, and you're debating a Democrat governor from California who's not the Democrat nominee. I mean, if you're debating him, like I said, if you're doing it for the raising a profile, okay, that I understand. But I don't know how beyond that, I don't know how this helps DeSantis, but I'm willing to listen. And the other issue is, I'm just wondering if DeSantis isn't taking a risk for himself, because here's the thing. If he comes out of this with the perception that he lost the debate to Newsom, who's not even running in the Republican primary? What does that do to him short and long term? And again, that's not a criticism of DeSantis. It's just a legitimate question. I mean, for DeSantis, it seems to me he's got a lot more to lose than does Newsom. Newsom could come into this thing, do very well, or even moderately well,
right?
But come out of it smelling like an absolute rose. All the pressure is on DeSantis in this.
Yes, exactly. Everything's on him. Again, he's an unfriendly territory. He may think that he's got like Hannity on his side, but no, you got to be very careful.
Yeah, very careful. I agree.
And for this special occasion, I brought up my bottle of tequila.
Oh well, very good, very good.
I bought this thing. It's signed, bottled by the guy. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I want to taste this.
And it sounds like things are going to the dogs on your side.
Yeah, I know. Oh, crack. Oh, yeah. But, it's all going to the dogs all the time. That's all you say. And then cheers a little bit. Oh, it's very good.
Okay, very good. Very, very good. Okay, try
go on mute
again. Still trying to get this where we haven't got any lags or anything else. So hopefully we shall be able to watch this all together. So, and folks, and folks, and like I say, we're here. We want to have fun with you guys. But and again, I'm the proprietor of this channel. So if the quality of what we're doing is such that
the Democrat nominee in either 2024,
if the quality of what we're able to put on here is not something that you would find to your liking, then I understand completely if you were to go to another channel. So, but while we're here, we're going to try and do the best we can with what we've got, and we'll see what happens. So, yeah.
The truth is, I wouldn't watch this, but I'm interested to just see what it is and be honest about it. Because again, that's the whole point. I want to know what's the point of this. That's what I want to know.
Agreed.
But for me, the point is it's peering into the eye of the Democratic donor, the high pay and the high paying Republican donor, both of them. So that they're being groomed. They're being convinced that they will run against each other. So this is why they're doing it. And that's what I'm saying. And that's the whole idea. It's basically they're being convinced they're doing it, in my opinion. And I basically want to see that by what they say. And again, for me, if it's like if it's a debate on the issues, then good. If it's a debate on their performance, then of course Newsom has a lot to explain, and DeSantis has done great things in Florida. But then if this devolves into I'm better than Trump, then that's something totally different. It's going to be basically why we're better than him or whatever. And just it could go there. I don't know. I really don't know what's going to do.
Yes, we're going to try and do commentary during the debate. Our plan, assuming that the lag doesn't kill us, our plan is to stop every so often as needed and make comment during the debate. So that's our plan. Like I say, we're trying to get everything squared up right now. And I think everybody is tuning in on foxnews.com as much as they can. And it's, like I say, it's giving me the white circle of death. I mean, we're gonna take it there in here just a second.
Your state's a mess. Everyone's
there. Sorry. And yeah, we're gonna, like I say, Ruben and I are gonna work in the background to see if we can find.
Yeah, I got Crowder in the background here, and he's doing commentary, but he has the debate.
Okay.
So that's, and again,
I think I have just cured our problem.
Oh,
or at least
okay.
as much as I can anyway. So,
but like I say, if it's running, let the debate start, and just we can do intro. Now we're going to go in here, and this is why we're doing, because we want to make sure that we have the flow.
Okay. All right, let me do one thing real fast. Can you hear this?
Is next. Thank you for doing this, Sean.
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay. When you need me to stop, let me know. Also, if you see comments in chat that I need to mention, please let me know. Okay.
I will.
Anyway, folks, here's the beginning of the debate.
And tonight we are broadcasting live just north of Atlanta, Georgia, in Alpharetta, Georgia, where in just a moment we're going to hear from the Republican governor of Florida, the Democratic governor of the great state of California, for what is the first ever red state, blue state debate right here on the Fox News channel. Now, we will do our best to give equal time to each governor. We will limit answers to 60 seconds per question. We'll be a little flexible as needed.
Sorry, folks.
Let the debate breathe as needed.
There we go.
With a 30-second time for rebuttal. Let me start by introducing both Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, California Governor Gavin Newsom. Governors, thank you both for being here. Really appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
I know both of you personally. I've known you both for a long time. I know you're very busy. I also know this. I know that both of you love your individual states.
Yeah.
I know you both have a deep and abiding love for our country, as I do. But where we are in the country, we've never kind of been this divided in a long time. There are clear and deep and profound differences in your approach to governance. And before we begin, one quick note to all of you that are watching at home. Okay, I'm now the longest running primetime cable host in the history of cable news. I'm now, and I feel blessed, in my 28th year at Fox. It's kind of widely known that I am a conservative. However, tonight I will be moderating this debate. I will not be part of the debate. Our questions tonight will be coming from well-sourced, fact-centered perspectives, and you will see and hear most of tonight's questions will deal with the most fundamental issues, the ones that impact the lives of the people that make this country great, the people in Florida, the people in California, and in many ways, every state in the country. We'll discuss taxes, the economy, immigration, crime, guns, homelessness, education, parental rights, abortion, gas prices. In other words, the things that impact you every single day. In the end, you will get to decide which governing philosophy you believe is better. The governors will explain their governing philosophy. And again, fact-based questions. So let's get started. Everybody ready? All right. As we speak, there is a phenomenon. It is playing out across the entire country.
Ruben, is the sound coming in okay?
Yes. Yeah. Good. It's good.
And you can hear me fine.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
21 and 2022. These particular numbers are stark in the state that you lead. In the case of you, Governor Newsom, according to the U.S. Census, this is where the numbers come from. In 2021, 2022, California's lost 750,000 residents to other states. Governor DeSantis, during that same two-year period, you gained 454,000 residents from other states. So Governor DeSantis, we had a coin toss. I was not part of it. I missed it. But apparently, Governor Newsom, you won the coin toss. And you chose to let Governor DeSantis have the first question. You will get the last word tonight.
That was smooth.
So I begin with you. You know, for Governor Newsom, I will ask,
Makes Newsom look very magnanimous.
What your response is on this as well. It's a simple question. How do you explain this phenomenon? Governor, what's going on?
When I was in the Navy, I got orders to go to Naval Amphibious Base Coronado in Southern California. And I was a lifelong Floridian, but I went there and I was like, man, this is one of the most beautiful places on earth. And I think California has more natural advantages than any state in the country. You almost have to try to mess California up. And yeah, that's what Gavin Newsom has done since he's been governor. He's the first governor to ever lose population. They actually at one point ran out of U-Hauls in the state of California because so many people were leaving. Of course, he's imposed restrictions on his own people while exempting himself from those restrictions and going to the French Laundry while his people were suffering. He led the country in school closures, locking kids out of school while he had his own kids in private school in person. Now, he's very good at spinning these tales. He's good at being slick and slippery. He'll tell a blizzard of lies to be able to try to mask the failures. But the reality is they have failed because of his leftist ideology. And the choice for America is this. What Biden and Harris and Newsom want to do is take the California model and do that nationally. In Florida, we showed that conservative principles work. This country must choose freedom over failure.
Governor Newsom, your reaction.
Well, it's good to be with you, Sean. It's nice also to see you in a tie as well tonight. Good to be with you, Ron. And
I dressed up for the occasion, Governor.
Dressed up? No, I'm impressed and I'm grateful. Look, it's an important occasion. This is an important conversation, and I think it's important to the folks watching. They're probably wondering, what are we actually doing here? And I want to answer that very directly. I'll tell you why I'm here. I'm here to tell the truth about the Biden-Harris record, and also compare and contrast Ron DeSantis' record and the Republican Party's record as a point of contrast that's as different as daylight and darkness. You want to bring us back to a pre-1960s world, America in reverse. You want to roll back hard-earned national rights on voting rights, on civil rights, on LGBTQ rights, on women's rights, not just access to abortion, but also access to contraception. Yeah. You want to weaponize grievance. You are focusing on false separateness. You in particular, Ron, are on a banning binge, a cultural purge, intimidating and humiliating people you disagree with. You and President Trump are really trying to light democracy on fire. So, Sean, there are profound differences tonight, and I look forward to engaging. But there's one thing in closing that we have in common, is neither of us will be the nominee for our party in 2024.
Governor, great opening.
Damn.
But
didn't
it
answer
did not
the question.
It didn't address the issue. Can you
Torpedo
explain
in the
this
broadside.
migration out of California and going to red state?
You mean,
blue state?
well, hold on. You mean the last 2 years, more Floridians going to California than Californians going to Florida?
No, I put up on. I put
That's
up on
just,
the
by the way,
screen.
that's going to be fun to fact check. So we'll just start right there. California has no peers. California dominates, size of 21 state populations combined. It's the fifth largest economy in the world. We dominate, number one manufacturing state. We dominate in two-way trade and research and development, access to innovation, more scientists, more researchers, more engineers, more Nobel laureates in the state of California than any other state in the nation, the finest system of higher education. It's the birthplace of life science and biotech and nanotechnology. We dominate in green tech. We dominate in high tech. We dominate in artificial intelligence. So with respect, I think it's an interesting campaign strategy for Ron DeSantis to be bashing a state of 40 million Americans when California simply has no peers.
Well, that's a pretty slick way of not answering your question. He went on a binge of putting out a lot of left-wing platitudes. Here's what I would say. I talked to a lot of the people that have moved from California to Florida, and we never used to get people from California to Florida or really anywhere in the East, because why would you leave California? It's got the best weather, great natural forests. Excuse me, sir. But one of the things that I did, I was talking to a gentleman, a couple.
Guys, I'm going to let the debate breathe. But it's his turn. Let's take turns.
So I was talking to a fella who had made the move from California to Florida, and he was telling me that Florida is much better governed, safer, better budget, lower taxes, all this stuff. And he's really happy with the quality of life. And then he paused and he said, by the way, I'm Gavin Newsom's father-in-law. So we do count Gavin's in-laws as some of the people that have fled California and come to the state of Florida. And why are we getting people to come? We have a 50-year low in the crime rate. You don't see in the last 10 years, we've had a 45% decline in homelessness. California's had a 45% increase in homelessness. We back the blue. I was walking the streets of San Francisco a couple months ago, and I had some of the cops in San Francisco do a beeline to come over to me, and I didn't know what they were going to say. And they're like, we want to thank you for standing for law enforcement because we don't get that support in the state of California. So people understand quality of life matters. They understand that Florida's doing it right. And I can tell you the numbers speak for themselves. We have way more people moving to this state than leaving. Gavin can't say the opposite. More people are leaving California than are moving into California.
Let me bring up
coming to California the other way around the last 2 years. But let's talk about crime.
Governor, hold on. Governor, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
You said a lot of things that were factually untrue, including that 50-year crime low, which his own law enforcement team said you should not be using.
You have yet to address the issue, but I asked you twice. You don't want to answer it. But the issue of the migration out of red states. I'm sorry, out of blue states.
We just established more Floridians coming to California in the last.
No, that's wrong.
You had a net loss of 7.
It's a fact.
Asserted it.
It's a fact.
No, it's not a fact.
It is a fact.
Moving on. Let's go. Your states have vastly different income tax rates. Okay, it is what it is. These are the facts. California's highest rate for top earners, 13%. Married couple, for example, in California, earning a median income of $84,000, they have a 6% income tax in the state of California. Florida's income tax rate is 0% across all salaries, but it goes beyond income taxes. Property taxes are lower in California, but everything else is higher. Let's take a look at the numbers. These are the facts. The average property tax in California, 0.75%, Florida, 0.91%. Sales tax, California, 7.25%, Florida, 6%. Gas tax rate, California, 77 cents a gallon. That is a low estimate. It's up to $1 when you include mandatory fees. And in Florida, it's 35 cents. Corporate income tax, California, 8.84%, Florida, 5.5%. Governor Newsom, this is your question. Let me ask you. Obviously, you support a different philosophy, which is higher taxes.
Yes. No, hold on.
No, this is a tax question, Governor.
This is a different approach, and I agree with you completely. He has one of the most regressive tax rates in the United States of America. It's the #3 most regressive state in America. And what that means is simply this. Who does he tax? He taxes low-income workers more than we tax millionaires and billionaires in the state of California. The question is a simple one. Who, Ron, are you for? It's a factual lie that the state of California is high tax, has the highest tax rate, but for whom? And it's a foundational and fundamental difference. You look at states like Texas, overwhelming majority of Texans pay more taxes than the state of California. So again, it's who you're for. And I think those values matter. And I appreciate you bringing up the issue of taxes.
How many people leave Florida to go to California because they pay less taxes? I've not seen that. Are people going from Florida to New York because they pay less taxes? Of course not. They come to Florida because they pay lower taxes. We don't even have an income tax. And yet California has a higher sales tax than we do, and that's one of the things that we do. But here's the thing, and I'll give Gavin credit. He did at least admit in his first answer, he's joined at the hip with Biden and Harris. He thinks Biden and Harris have done a great job. He thinks the economy is working because of their policies for Americans, and they are not. And so what California represents is the Biden-Harris agenda on steroids. They would love nothing more than to get 4 more years to be able to take the California model nationally. That would be disastrous for working people in this country.
Let's talk about working people. They pay more in your state than the state of California charges for billionaires and millionaires. And it's just a value proposition. True. It's a fact. Again, you can't make
you have $6 or $7 a gallon gas. How do they afford that? These are folks that are blue collar people. You're going to force everybody to buy an electric vehicle. How are they going to be able to afford electric vehicles if you're working class people? And I think the thing about California, they have one of the highest inequality rates because, yeah, they've got Silicon Valley billionaires. They've got a lot of very wealthy people. They've got a lot of people that are on government assistance, but they've hollowed out their middle class. That's who's been leaving California. They've been leaving in other places. They go to Arizona. They go to Nevada. They go to all these places.
Let me just
Biden is hollowing out this.
I do have a follow-up
in California.
Ron, I'm happy that you continue to talk. Let's talk a little bit about Bidenomics because I'm happy to take that on right now as well. And I think it's a fair point.
You're a big supporter of it. I appreciate you acknowledging
14 million jobs, 10 times more than the last 3 Republican presidents combined.
Because he had
815,000 manufacturing
the jobs were because of the COVID lockdowns. Are you kidding me?
3.9% unemployment. As he continues to talk over me, I'll talk to the American people. 3.9% unemployment, the lowest black unemployment in American history, the lowest unemployment for Hispanics in American history, the lowest unemployment for women in 70 years, the lowest black poverty rates in history. That's this administration's agenda. And by the way, as you smile and smirk over there, you should know this, the American people. Here's a guy who celebrated Bidenomics just this week, celebrating $28 million that came into your state because of the CHIPS and Science Act, one of the most significant economic plans since FDR. I'm proud of the work Biden and Harris have done.
Would you like to respond? And I do have a follow-up. The 6% rate on people, families, couple in California, they pay 6% income tax on $84,000 a year.
Low-wage workers in the state of Florida pay more than billionaire state of California.
I didn't ask about Florida.
Governor,
30. But here's let me ask the question. Let me ask the question.
To try to cover for his
Ron, if I may answer the question.
Okay.
California has lower taxes, lower than 32 states for working families in the middle class, significantly lower taxes than places like Texas.
You support a 6% income tax for people, a couple
I'm against regressive taxes that advantage billionaires and millionaires over working families and the working poor. People in his state pay more taxes on the low end than we tax people on the high
How
end.
does
That's
paying
a fact. and it's
$7 a
value
gallon
proposition.
gas help working people? That doesn't help working people at all. How does paying an 8% sales tax help working people? That doesn't help working people at all. They have the highest taxes in the nation. People flee to be able to save money to get out of California. And you have working class people that move to these other states. Their dollars go much further. But here's the thing. They want to take this Bidenomics and they want to double down on this for the next 4 years. How many people are able to afford groceries now compared to what you were doing 3 or 4 years ago? I talked to people, I talked to a woman who had a cart full of groceries going in and they're ringing it up. And it got to be so expensive, she has to take a lot of the stuff out. That didn't used to be the case. People used to be able to work hard and get ahead. That is not true under Joe Biden. And you know what, Sean, one more final thing. California's unemployment rate is 60% higher than Florida's unemployment rate. Our unemployment rate is 2.8%. Theirs is 4.8%. Why?
Governor.
Because it's a command and control economy. They have a political agenda that they're pursuing.
Let me
at
ask
the
that
expense of
question.
People.
On with the question of jobs. I think it's important. You know what? That affects
By the way,
that affects
the
everybody.
Biden administration, the last 3 years, it's
Is
been a
Joe
master
Biden paying you tonight?
3.9%.
I thought this was state versus state.
No, but it's about the United States of America. I thought this guy was running for president of the United States. If
You
you're
are
running
too.
for a
You
third-
just won't
are you
admit it.
running for a
You
third
just
sounds like
won't
you're
admit
running
it.
for a
You will not
third
admit it.
term.
Why don't you
All right,
just
gentlemen.
admit that you're
Hold
running?
on.
All right, we can't
Hold
talk.
on
We
here.
can't talk. I'm going to move
He's
on to the next
hovering.
question.
He's running.
The unemployment rate in Florida right now
Yes.
is just 2.8%. As you stated, and California ranks second worst in the country at 4.8%.
Just enjoyed
Hold
our
on. This
lowest
question goes to
unemployment on record
Governor
in the state of
DeSantis, and then you'll have a chance to respond. Governor DeSantis.
Well, right. I mean, they tax too much. They regulate too much. They have a political agenda. It's not a good climate for business. They've lost a lot of companies. A lot of companies have moved to Texas. We have had some to Florida, but they've lost a lot of companies to Texas because they're not doing a good job looking out for folks and not creating a good business environment. And, when I have people that come to Florida, they tell me, you guys actually want us to succeed in Florida. And they feel like when they're in California, they don't want business to succeed.
Is that what
and all
Disney's
that
saying,
stuff.
the Tampa Bay Rays?
Well, actually,
Is that what
yeah,
all these
I think
other
that's an
private
interesting
sector
point with
corporations say?
Disney because
Please.
I had Disney open during COVID and we made them a fortune and we saved a lot of jobs. You had Disney closed inexplicably for over a year.
We'd love to
You
talk
were not
about
following science. You were a lockdown governor. You did a lot of damage to your people.
Oh.
You had more kids locked out of school for a longer period of time in California than anywhere else in the country. It was the working class kids. It was the middle income kids. His kids were in private school. They were in class in person.
We'll get to
I know.
COVID.
He
Hold on.
locked people out because of the teachers union.
You're gonna.
He is owned by the teachers union. You will never cross the teachers
This is
union.
just a lot of hot air.
Lock,
You want-
stock, and
Let's
barrel.
talk about COVID. Let's talk about your record on COVID. You passed an emergency declaration before the state of California did. You closed down your beaches, your bars, your restaurants.
False.
It's a fact.
The beaches
You had
were not
quarantines.
False.
You had quarantines. You had checkpoints all over the state of Florida. By the way, I didn't say that. Donald Trump laid you out on this. Dead to right. You did
That's not
that.
true.
You
That's
followed science. You followed Fauci, Ron Santos.
That's not
He
false.
followed science.
not
He
true.
followed Fauci. You
And
were
why did
promoting.
everyone leave
Hold on. You
California
were
to come to
promoting
Florida?
vaccines.
We were open.
You were promoting
We were
vaccines.
open.
You even
We were
wore a
closed.
mask in
We
September.
were open.
Sean,
You were closed.
if it's okay with you, we'll do this.
Why were you closed
Why don't we do
for
this
so
in a way
long?
were we both going to have
Why were you closed for
opportunity?
so long?
You wore
You
a
were
mask
closed.
with
All right, guys,
Donald
guys,
Trump
closed.
I'm
outside
trying to let it
in
breathe.
September
Gavin,
2020. He did all of
Governor
that
Newsom.
until he decided to fall prey to the fringe of his party. And as a consequence of that, Ron, tens of thousands of people lost their lives.
Not true.
The equivalent, if I had your policies, the equivalent of 10 9/11s, tens of thousands of people lost their lives. And for what, Ron?
Those are more lies. In fact, the Lancet just did a study. Florida had a lower standardized COVID death rate than California did. That's a Lancet study. One more thing.
29%
The other
death
thing
rate
we
in the
had,
state of
the other thing
Didn't even come
California
close.
had,
Your
California
record
had
is one
higher
of
excess
failure
mortality
on
than.
COVID.
All right,
than
gentlemen,
Florida. Let me talk about the excess mortality real quick.
Honestly,
Because the
hold on a
excess
second.
mortality
This-
is other
I
things.
want to ask you both. If slow down, I want everyone to be heard. If I can ask you, I really do want this to breathe. I want this debate to breathe. I want it to organically develop. To do that, I need both your cooperation. I don't want to be a hall monitor. It's not my style, all right? You mentioned COVID. Let me go to COVID. And I plan to bring this up later, but you both took very different approaches as it comes to COVID. Governor Newsom, you issued the nation's first stay-at-home order on March 19th of 2020. Governor DeSantis, you took a lot of heat for reopening schools. You opened schools in Florida in August of 2020. All right, so here's the data, which I think is important. This is where the facts come in. Your state's death rates were almost identical.
It's just factually untrue.
Hold on.
Factually untrue.
Okay. And by the way, both your states with such different approaches, which is pretty fascinating, were both lower, significantly lower than the national average. These numbers come straight from the CDC. Yeah. So, Governor Newsom, how do you explain that?
The facts. Per capita death rates
That's what that is.
in the state of Florida were 29%, 29% per capita higher. 29%.
That's not what the stats say right there.
People, tens of thousands of people unnecessarily
died. Don't lie about it. He put the graphic up there. Don't lie about it.
Unnecessarily
you don't need to lie about it.
Because your policies.
Just understand.
You're lying
you don't
about
need to
your
lie
record.
about it. No, it's not.
You were a lockdown governor.
No, it's
you
not.
locked down beaches, bars, and restaurants. That's just a fact. He's running away from his record. He's running away from the fact tens of thousands of people died unnecessarily
the CDC
because he
number.
caved to it's 29% higher death rate in the state of Florida versus the state of California.
Okay, quick response, Governor.
You showed the stats. The stats are very clear.
One at a time.
On a per capita age-adjusted basis, California and Florida basically the same. Now, why is that important? Because Gavin Newsom did huge damage to people in California. He ruined livelihoods. We reopened the state very quickly. We saved thousands of jobs. We saved hundreds of thousands of jobs, thousands of businesses. We had our kids in school. He had the kids locked out of school because of the teachers union. That is having a generational impact. California has one of the lowest literacy rates in the country. In the most recent NAEP exam, Florida came in number 3 for 4th grade reading. California was far, far behind. So you should apologize for not getting your kids in school. Why didn't you get the kids in school in the summer of 2020 like we did? You bowed to the teachers union. You didn't do the job you should have done.
All right.
The only person
one at a time, quick answer.
Is Ron DeSantis for the tens of thousands of lives that died unnecessarily because he played to the fringe of his party.
We got to take a break. And finish your thought.
No, and when it comes to the issue of schools, you better be careful. You had more learning loss during COVID than the national average in the state of California. It's a fact. More learning loss. Your economy contracted more in 2020.
Quick break.
Expanded slower than California in 2021. More to come on this topic.
More to come on this debate. I know it's starting off
next segment. I guess
it's been rather dull at the start, but anyway, we got a lot to get to coming up. Many important topics that we're going to be talking about, including one issue where you might find some agreement actually as we continue the blue state, red state debate. We are live. We are in Alpharetta, Georgia. Thank you for being with us.
Okay, I'm going to mute it. We've got, if they still follow the old rules, we've got a 2 and 2 here, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Yeah. Ruben, your first thoughts on this? Go.
DeSantis is panicking, and Newsom is just eating up the screen.
Okay, what else?
And again, he is controlling everything, and DeSantis is trying really hard, and he has good points, but Newsom is he's a weasel, and he's saying things that are total lies. He rattled off all of those things, accomplishments that he said that he had in California, how great it is, and he didn't answer the question in regards to the first question: why are people leaving? He didn't answer that. He basically says, "Oh no, people are coming back. We're getting more people back from Florida. They don't like it there. They're leaving." And again, he's saying this, and he's twisting everything. Gruesome Newsoms, basically.
Yeah, one of our Beth Gates, who is a California refugee herself, said in chat, "There's a reason Californians call him gruesome." Well, I can understand now why. For my part, and people are going to say I'm trying to bash DeSantis. Honest to God, folks, I'm not. But this is just my observation. As I'm watching this, the debate from history that this is reminding me of is a lot like Nixon Kennedy in this respect. Nixon might have had better command of the facts, which I'll give DeSantis.
Yes.
But But the problem I think DeSantis has got is, even though I disagree with Gavin Newsom on almost 100% of everything he believes politically, that man is one of the smoothest operators on television you're ever gonna watch.
Yeah, if you saw this debate without the sound,
yeah,
you see the stress in DeSantis's face, and you see the cool demeanor, cold demeanor of Newsom.
Yeah,
and this is exactly why people say, "Oh, he looks so cute." And again, it's just very, very slimy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I want to right now, and Ruben, this is a record for one of our live streams that we've done jointly together. There are currently 285 people in here on YouTube. Let me go over to Rumble real fast. I'm not kidding, Ruben. I'm looking at the total right now. Unless YouTube is lying to me, we've got 285 people in here right now. And for all of you who are here for the first time, my name is Brian Trippett. I go by the handle the Front Porch Conservative. This is my good buddy Ruben Christopher Haynes. We do political coverage like this for special events. There's usually some other people that join in with us. We're glad to have you here. We're trying to have as much fun with this as we can, and we're doing our best to acknowledge your comments and chat. We've managed to work out our technical stuff. Thank you, Lord. And this is pretty lively. I will give DeSantis this. He's trying to tie Newsom to Biden.
Yes.
To me, it's like in the first 60 seconds. Oh, thank you, Christian. That's very sweet of you to say, dude. It really is. Christian Watson's here, ladies and gentlemen. Go check out his YouTube channel. One of the best, smartest people on the internet for political commentary. Check out his channel. Give him a sub. We got a Panama City lady here, Miss Renee. We're glad to have you. If you're not subscribed to Ruben's channel, give him a sub. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please give me a sub. It's nights like this that that guys like me and Ruben work for. So we're glad to have you here, and we thank you for putting up with us. Are we professionals at this? No, not by any means. But we're just trying to provide the best kind of thing we can here for everybody to be able to enjoy and have their commentary. And we're glad that everybody's here in chat. You guys are awesome. But holy cow, 200.
I've always loved political debates. It's been important for me because, again, I always love civics debate, the idea of having two ideas coming together. And you see it here. Again, I'll say it's a good debate. Okay, here he comes.
Hey, Ruben,
back.
I hate to cut you off. They're coming back in, so I'm going to cut the sound back in. Let's write down some notes. We'll bring this thing back here in just a minute.
Blue state, red state debate with Governor Gavin Newsom and Governor Ron DeSantis. Gentlemen, let's move on to the issue of borders. Joe Biden's message to illegal immigrants during his campaign was, let them come. I'd have the tape, but I said I wouldn't play the tape. And since taking office, Biden said he's gotten control of the border. Vice President Kamala Harris, Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, Biden's press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre have all said the border is either secure or the border is closed. Yet the Border Patrol says, well, guess what? They have been a record 6.5 million encounters with illegal immigrants and so-called asylum seekers at the border since President Biden took office. The administration says, well, they don't know how many people actually are in the country illegally. Gentlemen, the American people, I ask you, I believe it's your turn, Governor Newsom, have the American people on the issue of borders, you're defending the Biden administration. They're saying the border's secure. They're saying the border's closed. Those are the numbers from our own Border Patrol. Are the American people being lied to?
I don't think they're being lied to. The Biden administration put out a comprehensive plan day one when he got sworn into office 3 years ago, and the Republican Party didn't touch it. They haven't moved on it. They play politics with us. And I'll be honest with you, I think there's probably one person I wouldn't listen to on this topic more than the guy that I'm standing next to, Ron DeSantis. He lacks any credibility on the issue of immigration. When he was in Congress, he supported amnesty. When he's in Congress, you supported John Boehner's bill. It's a fact. When you were in Congress, you supported Obama's. You supported Obama's efforts to advance comprehensive reform. The last guy you want to talk to on the issue of immigration, your immigration policy can best be described as a governor from the state of Florida going into another state, the state of Texas, lying to migrants, promising them jobs and housing, sending them to an island, Martha's Vineyard, and then sending them to a parking lot in Sacramento, California. I met with those migrants that you lied to under false pretense. That kind of gamesmanship, using human beings as pawns, I think is disqualifying. So again, a guy who stands here who's been out on the Republican debate stage saying, well, he's going to be tough, he's going to shoot people with backpacks, and that he has a strategy to potentially even invade our second largest trading partner, Mexico, that has a record of supporting amnesty and supporting reforms under the Obama administration, is the last guy to be standing on stage talking about the issue of immigration reform tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's deja vu all over again with that flurry of lies. This is a guy that says the Biden administration is not lying to the public about the border. They go to the White House briefing room every day. They say the border's secure. They are lying to you. We know that that's not true. Gavin Newsom is lying to you when he says somehow I supported these things, which I didn't do. He's also lying to you about what it's going to take to solve this problem. California is a sanctuary state. They thumb their nose at federal immigration law, and this has real consequences. There was an illegal alien, Herbert Nixon Flores, who was in LA, in custody. He was a repeat criminal. ICE wanted to take him into custody because then they would be able to deport him. LA refuses to work with ICE, and so they wouldn't turn him over. They end up releasing him on the street. He ends up murdering the mother of a 3-year-old little girl. Those policies are deadly. They do not work. And I'll tell you this, the Martha's Vineyard transport, Martha's Vineyard said it was a sanctuary jurisdiction. Kind of reminds me about Gavin Newsom when he restricted Californians, then he went to the French Laundry. These liberal elites, they like to impose burdens on you. They don't want to have to face the consequences of their actions. So we've got a lot of elites who want open borders, who lecture everybody else about it. Then the minute they have to deal with any of the consequences, oh man, all hell breaks loose.
How
and
about
they
the
get upset.
consequences
Hold on,
of
How about
voting?
we
we're
have
moving
one
on.
set of
We're
rules
moving
for
to the
every
next
American?
question.
We'd be much better
On
off
the
as a
same
country if
topic,
that were the case.
On the same topic, this is important. This is a very important question. While some migrants I know want to come to America for a better life for themselves and their family, find the American dream, I totally sympathize with them. Many good people fleeing very bad situations abroad. But others are abusing the asylum process, and in the process, in search of where they're coming from, we're now learning that many are coming from some of our top geopolitical foes, countries with little to no vetting, or people that are coming in. They're not being vetted. Look at these numbers. Between October 2021, October 2023, border agents encountered 6,386 nationals from Afghanistan, 3,153 from Egypt, 659 from Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror, 538 from Syria, 12,605 from Russia, and a whopping 26,113 from China. Now, my question, the next question goes to you, Governor Newsom. What are the odds that Biden's open borders have allowed terrorists and terror cells unvetted into this country? Is that a clear and present danger to every American?
The odds are 100%. Of course, our enemies are going to take advantage of this. He opened the border. He's not. He's violating his oath of office to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. He's knowingly having 8 million come in. And yes, there's criminal aliens. There are terrorists. There's a lot of fentanyl. That we've had tens of thousands of fentanyl deaths. I've met a lot of angel parents who have lost kids to fentanyl overdose, and the problem is, you'll have a college kid that may take some pill not knowing that there's fentanyl in it, and then right there that can be fatal. They're poisoning our people, and Joe Biden is sitting on his hands. He refuses to take care of the border. He refuses to hold the drug cartels accountable. This is the vision of Biden, Harris, Newsom. Open borders, Americans suffer, and Americans continue to die because of fentanyl overdose. There will be, unfortunately, a terrorist attack at some point that we'll be able to trace back to our southern border.
God forbid. By the way, do you see that risk, Governor Newsom?
Hold on.
Governor,
I mean,
do you see the risk?
Joe Biden put out not only a comprehensive plan, he consistently puts up plans. Hold on, no, but Sean,
is there a risk?
I'm going to answer your question. I support border security. I think the asylum system is broken. I believe that we need.
I understand that.
I'm the only guy here that's a border state governor. You're trolling folks and trying to find migrants to play political games to try to get some news and attention so you can out-Trump Trump. And by the way, how's that going for you, Ron? You're down 41 points in your own home state. On the issue of immigration, Joe Biden put a $14 billion immigration package up in front of Congress, 2,300 border agents, as well as custom officials, 1,000 new law enforcement officers to deal with the fentanyl issue. And by the way, that's a major issue in your state, 41% higher overdose rates than the state of California. And here's what I haven't heard, not a peep from Ron DeSantis. They want to demagogue this issue. You want to play politics with issues. You don't want to solve this issue. Why don't you lead your party
Governor Newsom,
and support that $14 billion?
Hold on. I have a follow-up. Governor Newsom, I appreciate your answer. You have mentioned comprehensive immigration reform many times. It's not happened under Joe Biden. I don't think it's going to happen next year.
Put a detailed plan in. Republicans in Congress refused to act on it.
Let me finish my
Congress to work with this administration.
With all of these millions and millions of people coming into this country unvetted, the question was and remains, is this a clear and present danger from the countries I put up on the screen? Is that a clear and present danger to America? And what do you do in the interim?
That's why the president of the United States put a $14 billion package in front of Congress they can act on today.
And what would that?
They haven't done anything in 2 years, this Congress.
What do you
Literally
support?
not a single piece of legislation. I support the $14 billion package president's put forward that includes 2,300 border agents and customs officials. By the way, also includes $850 million in new technology for border security. You hear nothing from Ron DeSantis. You hear nothing, Sean, respectfully. You hear nothing from the Republican Party. They play politics.
I'm almost out of time.
The president put the plan up to address the anxiety around
Let me ask the
security.
question another way. Does it worry you that our top geopolitical foes, the number one state sponsor of terror, Iran, China, Russia, Afghanistan, Syria, that they're at our southern border? You're a border state governor. Does that concern you at all?
Why else would I have put the answer is yes. Why else would I put the National Guard? Why would I have just increased it by 50% on the largest port in the Western Hemisphere in my state? I mean, this guy has no record. The fact that you supported amnesty, the fact you supported Obama's reforms, those are facts. They're just simple facts. The fact that your greatest contribution, Ron, to this debate is shooting people with backpacks.
I don't mind.
That's so inhumane.
I don't mind him lying to me. I don't mind Gavin lying to me, but I do mind him lying to you. He is sitting there saying that Joe Biden is willing to solve this problem. Is there anybody out there that actually believes this? Joe Biden created this problem. So if he's willing to lie to you about that, you know he's lying to you about all these other facts and figures, about all this other stuff. He's just throwing stuff out to see what sticks against the wall. This is a slick, slippery politician whose state is failing. People are leaving his state, and he's trying to run interference for his failure.
We've got to take our second break. We're going to, when we come back, we have a lot more ground to cover. Quick break. We have a lot of ground to cover. More with Governors DeSantis and Newsom, the great blue-red state debate, as we continue from Alpharetta, Georgia. Again, thank you for being with us.
Okay, I'm going to cut the sound. All right.
No,
Ruben, go.
He is again. The Newsom has control of the debate completely.
In what respect? In what respect?
He's just getting his points in, and again, the response is that if you're lying, you're lying. It's not a response. You basically saying that's incorrect. You have to basically say why it's incorrect, not just say you're lying again. You're lying. Let him talk. Let him bury his own thing, and then you respond. Do not interrupt him. He has the rope. Give it to him. But you know, DeSantis is running offense on him, and I'm just checking on Twitter. Ron DeSantis is posting clips. His team is posting clips, and he's getting Newsom. He's getting Newsom. He's doing this. He's not answering this. It's basically it's very high school debate.
Go ahead.
Reaction from DeSantis.
Yeah, and again, folks, I know that Ruben and I will occasionally run the risk. People are going to say, "Oh, you're just bashing DeSantis." No, I mean, look, there's a reason why Gavin Newsom was elected governor of California and mayor of San Francisco, on multiple occasions. The guy's good at what he does.
Survived the recall. Jesus.
Yeah, and survived a recall to boot. I mean, just off the top of my head, my observations are this. I know that Ron DeSantis has tried to bait Donald Trump into getting into these Republican debates, and kept saying, "Oh, you need to get up there and debate." Well, after watching what Newsom's doing to him, I'm not so sure that that's such a good idea because, frankly, Newsom is using Trump's own arguments against DeSantis.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's one thing to have Newsom doing it to you. Do you really want to have Trump on the same stage with you? The other thing that I find, and I'm kind of like Ruben on this point, is, DeSantis keeps saying that Newsom is lying. Okay, yeah, but please give me some statistics to back that up, to prove that, Newsom's not telling the truth. I realize there's a limited amount of time and the confines of this debate that they're doing on Fox News, doesn't necessarily lend itself to everything you might want to do. But, there's got to be a certain way to counter Newsom effectively in the time frame that you got. And I mean, just to me, I just don't feel like DeSantis is doing that yet. He may turn it around. I thought at the end, the whole discussion about, Newsom saying he increased National Guard at their ports in California by 50% was just a wide open, okay, here's your chance, pin him to the wall on it. So
Right.
the other thing is, saying that, Newsom is slick and slippery is one thing, but Ron, no offense, and Governor, with our due respect, what are you doing about it in this debate? I mean, that's
Yes.
just, just my observations so
That's
far.
true. That's the thing. Again, his defensive game is weak, and he
Yeah.
has to step it up. He has to step it up, and again, it's. I'm disappointed, but again, we're listening to not DeSantis, but the Republican Party, the donors, and Newsom the same thing. He's touting the line of his own. He's spelling his own farts basically, and I think he's all there, but it comes off as genuine because the tone. He's psychotic.
Well,
and a psychopath.
And let me address something in chat. And Aaron, you've made this comment, and I'm not attacking you, so please don't misunderstand me with what I'm trying to do here. Here we go. Yeah, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you on this. I think Newsom is stepping in it, but the problem is, it's like that old argument: which is better, that you be great on the facts or you be perceived as being good on the facts? Okay, we got to go back to the debate. But no, I mean, I don't disagree with you, Aaron. I'm just saying, DeSantis may have command of the facts, but Newsom is coming off as being smoother on the draw.
Right.
Okay, back to the debate.
We're going to take a little breathing room. I don't mind the debate taking on a life of its own, but let each other breathe. I don't want to be the hall monitor. Please don't turn me into that. Anyway, let's look at the issue of crime. FBI numbers, violent crime nationally for each of your states. Keep in mind, this statistic shows what is the combined rate of homicide, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, the year 2022. On the national level, the rate was 380.7 offenses per 100,000 people. In California, meanwhile, the rate was much higher, 499.5 offenses per 100,000. In Florida, lower, 258.9 offenses per 100,000. Governor Newsom, let me start with you. Your numbers are way higher than the national average. How do you explain that when safety and security, I would argue, is a prerequisite for the pursuit of happiness?
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. We're near 50-year lows, down 55% violent crimes in the state of California from the 1990s. And I want to compare and contrast that with the issue in Florida that you didn't mention, and that's the murder rate. And let's broaden it more broadly. The issue is 7 out of the top
Those numbers
10,
were part of the murder rate.
7 of the top 10 murder rates in the United States of America are red states. He has a 66% higher gun death rate than the state of California. He has a higher murder rate. Go to places like Jacksonville. Go to places like Orlando. Go to places like Tampa. The murder rate's off the charts compared to cities like San Francisco. And you know what? Even more egregiously, Sean, and I think this is important, the American people deserve an answer from you, Ron. You had one of the worst mass shootings in American history, Parkland. 17 kids were gunned down, lives lost, 17 others, lives torn asunder. You had a young girl by the name of Jamie Gutenberg, whose father pleaded with you to do something about it. And you know what you did? You did the exact opposite. You made it easier for felons to get guns without background checks, without any training. These people pleaded with you, the parents and the families, to get tough on gun safety. And again, you made it easier for felons. He said of you, Ron, and I agree with him, after you signed that concealed carry bill, which increases the likelihood, Fred Guttenberg said, of more Jamies losing their lives and more Parklands, he called you weak, pathetic, and small. So with respect, I appreciate you're talking to police officers in the state of California. You may want to spend a little bit
Also
more time, not on the Ohio Trail and other places across this country. You may spend a little more time back in your home state and address the murder and gun violence in your own backyard.
So this is the slick politician. You put up the rates. He has 500 per 100,000. Florida is 250. So that's almost twice as much. And he's trying to spin that to say California's doing good. People are leaving California in droves, largely because public safety has collapsed. They have, I mean, you go, when Californians come to Florida, one of the things they'll say, it's almost like an out-of-body experience. They can go to the store, get toothpaste off the shelf, pay for it, and leave, because in a lot of these places in California, everything's under lock and key because they basically legalized retail theft. They have chosen in California to put the interests of the criminals over public safety. They're easier on sex offenders. They're easier on all these crimes that are leading to a collapse in the quality of life. And if you just walk around San Francisco, you will see, and I think it's interesting, Gavin Newsom was mayor of San Francisco. So he took the San Francisco model, turned that into a template for California's collapse. Now the left wants to take the California model and use that as a template for America's collapse. We cannot let that happen.
I got a follow-up question. You brought up
Jacksonville, Florida, compared to San Francisco, is 126% higher.
Governor, let me bring up
it's 84%.
The next question dovetails into
Tampa,
this.
it's 75% higher. What?
Let me also say,
what are you talking about
you're
when
just
it comes to this?
jabbering. I know you like to jabber.
By the way, those are all easily
I know you like to lie.
Anytime you're uncomfortable,
He put the statistics up there.
Those are all
your
facts.
crime is
What are you
higher.
doing
We
about
know
the
your
gun
crime's
murder rate
higher.
in your
Gentlemen,
state?
We know
gentlemen,
What are you
I'm
doing
going to move
about
on.
the gun murder rate in your state?
We'll let the audience let the audience look at the
I think
numbers,
it's
the
shameful
FBI
what you
numbers, and
did
decide.
to those
According
parts
to
of the
the
family.
gun control advocacy group, every town for gun safety.
Yep.
Okay. California has the most, as you support, I know, Governor, restrictive gun laws in the United States.
Yes.
Florida has the 19th most restrictive. Yet, if you look at the year 2019, when each of you took office, California has had 21 mass shootings. Florida has had 9. Now, that is according to a USA Today, AP, Northeastern University database data. Keep in mind, a mass killing is defined as the intentional killing of 4 or more victims, excluding the deaths of unborn children and the offenders by any means within a 24 period of time. I believe, Governor DeSantis, you get this first.
What California wants to do is they want to make it harder for law-abiding citizens to defend themselves. Then they go easy on the criminals who are perpetrating the crime. They don't stand up for the men and women of law enforcement. That's why a lot of people have left the state, because they don't get the support from the communities that they need. And, Gavin told another lie. He said we made it easier for felons to do. Felons are not allowed to possess firearms. That's federal law. That's been long standing.
No background checks.
That is an absolute lie that he's saying like that. That has nothing to do with buying or purchasing a weapon. So that's just a lie, another lie that's coming up. But here's the thing. People are leaving California in droves because he has failed to stand up for public safety. They are on an ideological joyride to let people out of prison early, to go easy on them. Heck, your buddy, Gavin's buddy in Los Angeles, Gascon, he doesn't even prosecute. When I was in Southern California for the Reagan debate, a lot of the women tell me they have to take off all their jewelry just to be able to go shopping, because otherwise they're going to get mugged. That is the reality that people are facing in California. Right. Gavin can try to put lipstick on that pig, but the fact of the matter is he has failed the people of California.
No, I love this guy talking about backing the blue when you dangled pardons for January 6th insurrectionists, 85 of them that were literally charged with attacking.
They didn't do anything. That's a lie.
about backing the blue.
Hang-
With
hang
all due
on,
respect
Ruben.
to the crime rate, again, he's not answering the fact that he has a higher murder rate than the state of California, a 66% higher gun death rate than the state of California. And I can easily answer this point. Gun safety saves lives. I don't think it, I know it. And the data bears that out in the state of California. California proudly does lead in terms of common sense gun safety. Common sense gun safety saves lives. You had the chance to do something meaningful. You had a chance to do something on behalf of those Parkland families. You did the exact opposite. You moved in the exact opposite direction. With all due respect, look at your own backyard, Ron.
So
You're
I
not
will do
lining
that,
your
but can I
backyard on
respond to
this
that?
issue.
I will do that because we have we had two radical left Soros district attorneys, like your buddy Gascon in LA, one in Tampa, one in Orlando. They were endangering the public, and I removed them from their posts. Gavin Newsom has not lifted a finger to rein in Gascon in LA. That city has collapsed. That county's collapsed because he is not enforcing the law. So that's just the and here's the thing.
American
This is what's happening. That California model,
We're a little
that's
over
been
time.
done in Philadelphia,
15
Baltimore, all
15
across the
seconds. We got to go break.
Come on. I mean, you're running for president of the United States. You're talking down the great state of California. You're talking down one of the great American cities, Los Angeles. That's insulting. And you're doing it because you're trying to obfuscate the facts that you have a higher murder rate in the state of Florida and the state of California.
We got
have
to
some
take
of
a
the
break.
lowest crime rates we've had in 50 years.
We'll have more with Governor DeSantis, Governor Gavin Newsom on the other side as we continue the great state debate, blue versus red. There's hardly any differences. A lot of ground to cover. Thank you for being with us. We are in beautiful Alpharetta, Georgia. Thank you for joining us on Hannity.
Okay, I'm going to go first on this one, if you don't mind.
All right.
Just my observations in terms of style points. Newsom is extraordinarily good at deflection. I mean, I think we had someone in chat, I think it was a young man named Aaron, said that, Hannity's bringing the stats and Newsom's just, and I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Is
Yeah, I
that
see
he's just, you put something there and immediately it's like water off a duck's back. It's just amazing. He's just deflecting like now. And again, I go back to what I said earlier. DeSantis may be bringing the appropriate facts. Now, we can argue about the style in which he's doing it or the effectiveness thereof, but on style points, man, I'm sorry. And again, I am not trying to bash DeSantis here for folks in chat who are fans of Governor DeSantis. I respect that totally. It's just from my perspective, Newsom's coming off better. I mean, again, again, I see people in chat saying, "Hey, I think DeSantis won this round," and you may be right on the factual point, but on the style question, I'm not sure.
Yeah, again, your analogy is correct. Those that listened to the debate, like Nixon and Kennedy, versus those saw it. If you just hear this, his tone, DeSantis's tone, is still a little bit cracky because it's basically it's a defensive tone. Newsom has that psychopathic tone, so he has no empathy, that he comes off as charming and this and that. But when you look at him again this time around, the Newsom did bulk a little bit.
I agree with that.
When it came to, they said, you don't talk about LA, you talk about California, the good state of California. No, it's the facts. Again, and that's where basically you have to say you are a psychopath and you're delusional. People are leaving the state. And again, the whole Parkland thing too. Again, when CNN or these agencies go in there and they interview somebody right away, aren't you afraid what they did to your son? And again, it's emotion. They want that to if it bleeds, it leads. So you're dealing with that stuff. But I give this to DeSantis. But again, Newsom is breaking down a bit. I hope that he can be cornered to basically, because again, Aaron is right. The stats are there, and then they're being manipulated by Newsom live in front of everybody.
Yeah, and before they go back on, I just want to take a moment and thank everybody who is with us tonight. We currently have over 500 individuals in our YouTube channel watching this right now. So on behalf of a relatively new content creator like myself, thank you so very much. This is This is beyond my wildest dreams. And thank you guys so much for being with us. My name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube and Rumble channels, please do so. I've seen some notifications that some people already have. Bless you. Thank you. This is my good friend, Ruben Christopher Haynes. And please subscribe to his channel. We've got a scroll going across the bottom with his address on YouTube. So give him a sub. We're here covering the DeSantis Newsom debate. I got to make one other observation. We talk about how much Newsom is, how well he may or may not be doing against DeSantis. I will argue he's controlling Hannity. I mean, maybe control is not quite the right word, but you get the feel that he's basically telling, Hannity, hey, this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to set the tone. Now, again, I'm putting words in everybody's mouth with that, but to me, that's how it's coming across. I mean, from a tone perspective, DeSantis seems like he feels, from my perspective, he feels like he's just in like very good control of the pacing, the tone, everything else, no matter who is doing the talking, whether it's Sean Hannity or whether it's Governor Ron DeSantis. Okay, they're coming back in, folks. We're going to go back on here in 3, 2, and 1.
Hi, welcome back to Hannity, the Great Red State, Blue State debate. We continue with Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, Governor Gavin Newsom of the state of California. Gentlemen, let's turn to the issue of parental rights. Now, in March of last year, Governor DeSantis, as you know, you signed the Parental Rights in Education bill. And let me read from it. It says, classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students and according with state standards. Critics have called the bill, quote, homophobic. This is the one they branded the Don't Say Gay bill. I ask you, Governor DeSantis, especially the lower grades, should schools, and maybe all grades, should schools be focusing on reading, writing, math, science, history, computers, and maybe leaving values, considering parents might have different values than teachers at school, to the parents, to religious institutions, or is it the role of the school? What is the role?
The role of the school is to educate kids, not indoctrinate kids. It's not to impose an agenda. It's to do the basics. And what we've said in Florida is it's inappropriate to tell a kindergartner that their gender is a choice. It's inappropriate to tell a second grader that they may have been born in the wrong body. Now, California has that. They want to have that injected into the elementary school. My wife and I have a 7, 5, and a 3-year-old. We don't think that that's appropriate. And I know most parents do not think it's appropriate. It's also important to respect parental rights to know what curriculum is being used in the classroom, and everything should be age appropriate. I actually have something that I brought that some parents have objected to. So this is a book that's in some of the schools in California. Florida, this is not consistent with our standards, called Gender Queer. Some of it's blacked out. You would not probably be able to put this on air. This is pornography. It's cartoons. It's aimed at children, and it's wrong. So this should not be in schools. When people like on the left say that somehow you're banning books by removing this from a young kid's classroom, no, this is not age appropriate. And so we're going to stand for the rights of parents. I think we need to do that nationwide. I don't think you can have a situation where some states just trample on the rights of parents. Parents have a fundamental right to direct the education and upbringing of their kids.
I mean, by the way, you've been on a banning bench. 1,406 books have been banned just last year under Ron DeSantis' leadership. I love that he keeps pulling this out. I've seen this. He's been doing this all over campaign trail. What's wrong with Toni Morrison's books?
It's not banned.
What's wrong? It's not true.
No.
What's wrong with Amanda Gorman's?
It's not banned.
And the poetry. 1,406. 1,406 books have been banned on your banning bench in the state of Florida. As it relates to parental rights, come on, California, it's in our Constitution, parental engagement. It's called the LCFF process. We actually require parental engagement on curriculum development, and we don't. Complete lie. We don't require K through 3rd grade sexual education. That doesn't happen until middle school. What you're doing is using education as a sword for your cultural purge. And you know what? With all due respect, I remember in the 1970s, we had a thing called the Briggs Initiative. And there was a guy by the name of Ronald Reagan so offended by the Briggs Initiative, which was the original Don't Say Gay bill. In that case, it was not allowing teachers that happened to be gay to teach. And Reagan had the courage to stand up and he said, you can't catch gay like you can measles. I don't like the way you demean people. I don't like the way you demean the LGBTQ community. I don't like the way you demean and humiliate people you disagree with, Ron. I really find this fundamentally offensive. And this is a core value that distinguishes the values of my state and frankly, the vast majority of Americans against the weaponization of education and the purging that he's advancing.
I have a follow-up question for you, though. And by the way, first governor,
you gotta get him back, man.
Are the book banning issues? Is that not a state issue? Is that a state issue or a local issue?
Local, and he's
okay.
lying.
That's all I want to know.
The home book wasn't
but
there. That was
the
not
question I have.
1,400
here's the
books
question I have for you, Governor Newsom. Some of the books you're talking about. One is called, the governor just brought it up. It's called Gender Queer, a memoir. Explicit pornographic book showing sex acts. Another, Flamer, graphic book about young boys performing sex acts at summer camp. This book is Gay, a book containing instructions on the ins and outs of gay sexuality. Let me finish. Let's Talk About It, a book that contains graphic descriptions about how to masturbate for males and females. My question to you, Governor Newsom, those books, do you believe that's appropriate for school districts to teach kids? Yes or no?
Come on, those aren't. That's not part of the curriculum. They're not teaching
those
kids
are those are books that were in school.
Hold on. The bottom line is you are on a book banning binge. Your state, 1,406 books, 3,362 in this country.
You didn't answer.
Florida's
what about
leading,
those books?
Florida. That's not. We don't provide for K through third grade education, that kind of curriculum. It's just made up. These guys make it up. It's part of this cultural purge.
Should it
it's
be
just a made
what grade would it be acceptable?
What I find offensive, Sean and Ron, what I find offensive is a very significant number of these books happen to be LGBTQ books. A significant number of these books happen to be about African Americans.
Do you think it's
honestly find it offensive? I
told you we don't teach that.
We don't teach that. We have sex education in middle schools and high schools where it's appropriate. This is a ginned up, made up issue to divide this country. You talk about dividing this country. This is part of the culture war, the weaponization of grievance. This is part using education. We're focusing on math, science. We're focusing on reimagining our school system.
We're going to get to education.
He's criminalizing teachers, criminalizing librarians.
Check out the wrong book. The schools to impose a liberal agenda, social justice. They have this ethnic studies where they're dividing people. That's what they're doing. But let me just say something about parents' rights, because he says California respects parents' rights. This is rich. He's been telling a lot of whoppers tonight. This may be the biggest. In California, if you're a parent in Iowa or New Hampshire or South Carolina, your minor child can go to California without your knowledge or without your consent and get hormone therapy, puberty blockers, and a sex change operation, all without you knowing or consenting. How in the heck is that honoring parents' rights when you're bringing people from out of state to go around their parents' backs and getting life-altering surgeries? That is radical. That is
Ron,
extreme.
These kids
that is an assault on parents' rights.
You know what, Ron?
It's not for you to decide. It's for the parents to decide. And the parents do not want their kids going to these other things.
Let me go to a follow-up. Let me stay on a follow-up. Let's turn to the issue of education.
Decency and humanity and grace when it comes
of ripping somebody away.
Gentlemen, please. Nobody can hear you.
That is wrong. That is wrong.
I'll tell you.
All right.
That should not stand in this country.
Let us turn, gentlemen, if I may, to the issue of education. Here is public school spending per K through 12 students, according to the Education Data Initiative from the U.S. Census Bureau and National Center for Education. Florida spends nearly $12,000 per student, while California spends over $16,000. Florida is ranked #1 by U.S. News and World Report. In terms of state education rankings, California ranks 20th. Governor Newsom, what is your explanation? You spend more money and
what happens.
They have better results in Florida. Why?
I told you what I'm doing in public education. We created a brand new grade, pre-K for all. We're doing after school and summer school for all. We're reimagining the school day, not just the school year. We just provided 3.4 million of our students upwards of $2 billion for child savings accounts and the opportunity to start businesses when they graduate. We have one of the best records under COVID, during COVID, And again, you didn't answer to the fact you had more learning loss. Ron DeSantis had more learning loss during COVID. 4th grade reading, 4th grade math, 8th grade reading, 8th grade math. We outperformed you in it's a fact during COVID in every one of those categories. I can't wait to get all the PolitiFacts tonight because Ron, you keep denying some basic fundamental facts on health, wealth, and education. We outperformed you during COVID. You talk about things to apologize. You should apologize for your COVID record. You were with Fauci. You aligned with vaccines. You aligned with CDC guidelines until you didn't, and tens of thousands of people.
Actually,
Let's return our focus to education.
Well, when we opened the schools, we bucked all of those people June of 2020. He kept the schools closed for a long time, and that had devastating impacts. And why? What Gavin Newsom does in California is kowtow to the teachers union. Whatever they tell him to do, he does. He will never balk the teachers union. That's why the kids were locked out of school for so long. Joe Biden is in the pocket of the teachers union, and so is Kamala Harris. That's why they fought school openings when he came in there. When they had that in there.
It's Kamala
Biden came
Harris,
into office and he brought in the teacher
to
union to be able to do all these
insulting.
different things to try to keep the schools closed. So the Democratic Party, the far left in this country, they are owned lock, stock, and barrel by the teachers union. I beat the teachers union in Florida to get the schools open, first in the country during COVID, also to do universal school choice. Every parent in Florida has a right to send their kid to the school of their choice. We're winning these fights. California is bending the knee to the union because they control the politicians.
Let's move on. A topic that will seemingly play a very large role in the future elections, and it's the issue of abortion.
Yes.
I have a question for both of you. I'll ask you to please respect the individual's right to answer uninterrupted. And that is Governor DeSantis. I think it's actually your turn, Governor Newsom, if you don't mind.
All good.
Most medical professionals believe a baby is viable outside of a mother's womb by between 24 and 26 weeks. That is the general scientific consensus. It changes. There are some variations on it. Abortion is legal in your state, quote, up to viability, is my understanding, unless the mother's health is in danger. I'd like to get you on the record. You've been unwilling to answer this question. Should there be any restrictions on the issue of abortion that you support at all? Because funding in California, you have allocated in your budget $265 million for abortion last year alone. My question, very specific. Do you support any restrictions at all on abortion, especially in months 7, 8, and 9, past viability?
I'm going to answer that question, but let's talk about the issue of abortion. Let's talk about the issue of abortion.
You're going to answer it?
I'm going to answer that question. I'll repeat that. But I think this is important and it bears repeating. Ron DeSantis has signed the most extreme anti-abortion bills in America. He signed a bill banning any exceptions for rape and incest. And then he said it didn't go far enough and decided to sign a 6-week ban before women even know they're pregnant, Ron, before women can even access a doctor's appointment. So extreme is your ban that criminalizes women and criminalizes doctors that even Donald Trump said it was too extreme. On the issue of the extreme exception that you highlight as it relates to the issue of later term abortion, it's almost always because of a fetal anomaly, the life of the mother. And in those rare cases, I trust, and answer your question, I trust the mother and her doctor to make that decision.
So in other words, I want to be clear on this. If a woman and her doctor, for any reason,
not for any reason.
No. I'm asking.
Extremely rare.
Should there be?
I know where you guys are going, Sean. You're even uncomfortable with this whole issue.
I watch your.
This is where you guys have to go to cover for the extreme anti-abortion agenda of Ron DeSantis.
Should there be? Would you support a ban on abortion in 7th, 8th, or 9th month if the mother's life is not in jeopardy?
Extreme exception. People aren't going on and having abortions.
Should it be illegal then?
Unless something devastating has happened.
Should it be illegal?
It should be up to the mother and her doctor and her conscience. And it
so
almost
the answer is
always,
no restriction.
I've already answered it, and I'll just reinforce it. to cover
Okay.
up, again, hold on, for the most extreme abortion ban in the country. I have a simple question, though. This is important.
No.
Will you
I'm
not-
asking the
Ron
question.
DeSantis, will you or will you
My
not
turn?
sign a
My
6-week ban
Okay.
in the unlikely case you
let me-
become
Governor
president of the
DeSantis,
United States?
let's
Would
talk
you sign
about-
a national ban?
Let's talk about
He
your
won't
state.
answer that. He's
You
getting
had-
saved
you
here
had 15
on that
weeks.
fundamental question.
You had a 15-week rule in California. You reduced it to 6. My question is this. What was your thinking behind it? Was it for religious reasons? Was it for scientific reasons? What was the reason for you from going from 15 weeks to 6 weeks?
Well, I believe in a culture of life. I think we're better off when everybody counts, when everybody has an opportunity to do well. And that bill attaches when there's a detectable heartbeat for the child. And some states have done that. Some states have done others. Some states have done later. And obviously they have a right to do that. But I think about one of our Floridians, a lady named Penny Hopper. She actually survived a late-term abortion back in the day. And they left her on the table there to basically wither away. Her grandmother came, saved her, brought her to a hospital, saved her, and she ended up living a good life. So she counts and she matters. And I think that what the position that we have from the modern left, including in California, is that they will take your tax dollars and they will fund abortion all the way to the moment of birth. He's wrong when he says the later terms are all because of this. 88% past 15 weeks are in fact elective from the Florida data. He doesn't keep data there, but that is really extreme to take your tax dollars and to do this all the way up to the moment of birth. He didn't answer your question about any type of protections at all for a baby that has a beating heart, that can feel pain, that is viable.
Right. Let me hold on.
Respectfully, this is an important conversation. Will you or will you not support
You didn't
a
answer,
national?
Sean.
Ron,
Why didn't you answer
or will
his
you
question?
not support
Why didn't
a
you
national
support?
ban if
Why?
it lands on your desk? You couldn't answer that in any other context.
Okay,
Answer it
gentlemen,
tonight. It's a
we're
simple
moving
yes or no.
on to
By
the
way,
next
hey,
issue.
no, Sean, not a
You
next
never
issue.
gave a
The
week.
American people should know this. I'll answer it for Ron DeSantis. Can't answer it. He will sign that extreme
Okay,
6-week
let me move
national
on.
ban. The American people should know that.
I'm calling this the lightning round. It'd be great if you guys cooperated. I'm not a potted plant here.
Good.
And I want to ask you, we all know that federal policy does have a huge impact on states. We know that. I'm going to ask you 3 simple questions, and I just want one-word answers, okay, from 3 of you, because
Do our best.
we're coming up on a break. And the issue is right now Joe Biden is president.
Yep.
So I would like both of you to give a grade to Joe Biden overall as president. Governor Newsom,
A.
I'll give A.
An A, absolutely.
Governor
I think it's been a
DeSantis
master
Failed.
And a failure.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's your
Now,
campaign
number
for
2,
president.
are his policies helping or hurting your individual states? Is it helping the state of Florida?
The inflation is hurting our state big time.
Grade.
Fail. He failed.
Yeah.
He's failed on
What
the
would you-
The
economy.
guy just took
Is it helping
$28
the
million
state of
from the
California?
Science and Tech Act. Thank you, Joe Biden. It's absolutely accelerating our dominance in manufacturing, accelerating our revitalization.
Okay,
of
that
our
was a
state.
simple
The answer is
answer.
unequivocally,
Lastly,
absolutely yes.
okay, I will ask you, Governor DeSantis. I have played over and over again, and Governor Newsom, you have seen over and over again. Joe Biden is experienced what I believe to be significant cognitive decline. And in other words, it's the toughest job in the world. Is Joe Biden experiencing this cognitive decline? Is it a danger to the country? Do you find when he speaks, what is your reaction to it?
Yes, he's in decline. Yes, it's a danger to the country. He has no business running for president. And, Gavin Newsom agrees with that. He won't say that. That's why he's running his shadow campaign. He should not be running. He is not up to the job. And it is dangerous for this country.
Well, I will take Joe Biden at 100 versus Ron DeSantis any day of the week at any age. In fact, all
So
of
do
the
you
folks
think
on the
he's up to the
campaign
job?
trail.
You think he's 100%?
I've been spending
100%?
plenty of time with Joe
100%?
Biden in
Okay.
private
Let
and
him
public.
answer.
You don't know. And by the way, results matter. Inflation now is down to 3.2%. Wages are up to 4.4%. The economy is booming, 5.2% GDP growth in the last quarter. Those are facts you don't hear on Fox News. 14 million jobs, 10 times
Let me
more than the
move
last
on. That
3
was the lightning
Wow.
round. On March
Biden.
31st, 1968, President Lyndon B. Johnson famously said, "I shall not seek and I will not accept the nomination of my party for another term as your president. Now, despite being an incumbent president who is eligible to run for re-election, Governor Newsom, I've interviewed you twice on this issue. You say you are not running for president in 2024. In fact, you recently said, quote, you think that Vice President Harris is naturally the one lined up to run for president if Joe Biden were to bow out. Governor Newsom, tonight I ask you, will you make an LBJ-like statement? And Governor DeSantis, you say he's running a shadow campaign. In your response, I would like you to answer that. Will you say unequivocally, under no circumstances are you running?
Correct. I've said, I don't know how many times I can say it, just making this stuff up about a shadow campaign.
If
Bottom line,
if at the DNC convention they come and
Joe
ask you,
Biden-
will you run? What will you say?
Joe Biden will be our nominee in a matter of weeks. And in a matter of weeks, Sean, he'll be endorsing Donald Trump as a nominee for the Republican Party.
If they come to you at the DNC and Joe is incapable of running and they ask you, are you a hard no?
And it's not even optional. He's doing fantastically.
You-
I appreciate and respect the work the president's doing and the vice president's, the Biden-Harris campaign and team. So absolutely unequivocally,
Vice
I look
President
forward
Harris would be the
to
next person.
continuing to support their efforts. President
All right.
Biden will be
Well,
reelected.
I mean,
Donald Trump
I think
will
what
be
he's
rejected.
saying, I think what he's saying should color every single thing. I mean, I've called him on a lot of the lies, but he says Joe Biden is 100% up to the job. You know that that's not true. Anybody that can look, he wants you to believe him over your own lying eyes. When he says the economy is so great, how great is it when you're going to the grocery store now? How great is it when you're trying to afford a home? How are those interest rates doing? What about affording a new car? So we have to get real here. We have to understand that Biden is not a job. But here's I think the problem. What Biden would do, the people around him, they would look to California for the model to go forward in the next 4 years. That would accelerate the decline of this country.
Yeah.
Freedom is what works. The failures need to be left in the dustbin of history.
Yeah, tell about freedom to women that you're trying to criminalize in your state. And
All right,
doctors you're
we're,
trying to
we're,
criminalize.
we're retreating.
Spare
For
me
years,
this notion of freedom.
gentlemen,
Florida is not a state of freedom.
one of the things I wanted to accomplish here is the policies that you both implement have a great impact on the citizens of your individual states. For years, a gallon of gasoline, Governor Newsom in California, has been notably higher in your state than in the state of Florida.
That's right.
Here are the numbers, by the way, recent numbers. The average cost for a gallon of gas nationwide, just over $3.24. In Florida, $3.17. In California, it is a whopping $4.85. So, Governor Newsom, I ask you, you've also sued big oil companies alleging executives have deceived the public about the health of our planet, knowing that it's a polluter.
Fact.
If your lawsuit is successful, that would likely mean higher gas prices, even higher gas prices for everybody. Here's my question, though. Could you name right now one source of energy that you can bring online in the next 3 to 6 months that would be as inexpensive for the people in this country as fossil fuels?
Let me touch.
Can you
on-
can you
let's
think of that
touch-
energy?
Let me touch on the. I'm going to get to your question, and then let me touch the latter part of your question. Let me get the first part of the question.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. Since the 1980s, Republican administrations, Democratic administrations have experienced under their stewardship, experienced higher gas prices in the state of California. We've been ripped off by big oil. We continue to be ripped off by big oil. Big oil now has met a new foe, and that's the state of California, the most aggressive anti-gouging law in America, more transparency being required than any time in America. And yes, we're suing the industry responsible for this climate crisis. By the way, the same climate crisis that DeSantis celebrated as human caused, who campaigned for a fracking ban, who campaigned to oppose offshore oil drilling, and then 2 days after he got elected, signed an executive order. By the way, Nikki Haley had you dead to right on this, Ron. Signed an executive order doubling down, saying you're adamantly opposed to fracking, adamantly opposed to offshore oil drilling. You were celebrated by the Sierra Club for that action until you weren't. Once again, it shows the hypocrisy of Ron DeSantis. Now you're running away from climate change as things have gotten worse. Hurricanes, wildfires, droughts, and floods. $179 billion of weather-related disasters. And he has no response except talking points
All
from
right.
Big Oil.
Governor
We'll take
Newsom.
them
That
on,
was
and we'll
that was
move
that was a
Governor
mouthful.
DeSantis.
Again, just more lies. But here's the thing: California is the only one that oil companies are gouging. Why aren't they doing that to Georgia or Florida or these other states that have lower gas prices? Because of their policies. That's why people are paying more there. What Gavin Newsom wants to do, what he's doing in California, what Biden wants to do nationally, is government dictated green energy policies. They want to kneecap fossil fuels and reliable energy. We've already seen what's happened in California. They have rolling blackouts. He actually implemented a mandate to buy electric vehicles. So pretty soon in California, you're not going to be able to buy a normal car, only electric vehicles. And they celebrated that as like a great thing. A couple days later, there was a notice from the state government telling all EV owners, do not plug in your EV because they don't have enough grid capacity. So he is walking his people into a big time disaster. What Biden wants to do is he wants to take the California model. He wants to impose that nationally. He wants to take away your ability to purchase the car that you want. He wants to kneecap reliable energy. And he wants to bring these rolling blackouts all across the United States of America. It doesn't work. It's going to cause huge problems. We have more energy here. We can be the dominant energy producer in the world.
Florida.
And that's what we're going to do. Florida is not a big energy state. We have the Marcellus Shale. We have the West Texas. We have all of that. So let's do that. No forcing electric vehicles.
We got to take
Save
a break.
the American automobile.
When we come back, we'll continue the great state, red state, blue state debate. More with Governor Ron DeSantis, more with Governor Gavin Newsom as we continue. Thank you for being with us from Alpharetta, Georgia.
Okay, we're on a commercial break, so we're going to do a little chatting about what we think of all this. My name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. I'm joined by my good buddy Ruben Christopher Haynes. That was round, what do we call that, round 3, Ruben? Or
I think so.
Okay.
3 or 4.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll call it round 3 for the sake of argument. Give me your thoughts.
Oh my gosh. Again, Newsom is slimy, and again, he's
hold
not
back. What you really think of the guy?
He's not answering the questions. He's not answering questions. He's deflecting. He's projecting and all that stuff. And but the thing is that the tone of DeSantis, he has to be more calm, a more calm tone, lower the tone, be more like Reagan, and say the things he's saying, and call him out on his BS. He has to do that. And that's where I'm again right now. But again, I give it to DeSantis. But again, Newsom is controlling everything, and he's just running rampant right now. You've got to rein him in, and he had a big opening for something that he had to say. DeSantis should say regarding the school choice, and he botched that. He botched it because again, it's too fast paced. But you have to be quick on your feet when you're debating someone like Newsom.
I will disagree with you ever so slightly. From my perspective, I thought this was DeSantis's best round.
It's his best round.
Well, but if it's a certain issue, for example, the question on parental rights, I honestly thought that he hammered and cornered Newsom better than I've seen him do up to this point. I mean, I thought that line about Newsom retorting with the criminalization of grievance, I thought that was weak, to be perfectly frank with you. I mean, honestly, that whole segment right through, honestly, it reminded me of watching a couple of prize fighters where you have one guy for most of the round who's landing his punches, and then the other guy at the end gets maybe 1 or 2 good shots in. That's what DeSantis did that whole round. By and large, I thought he did great. Newsom got a few shots in at the end. Just some other quick observations. Again, I agree with you. I think Newsom's controlling the pace, how he answers, and then you'll notice that there's a pattern with what he does, is that once he controls the pace, tells you how he's going to answer, then he turns his argument on DeSantis.
Yes.
But toward the end of that, I didn't think Newsom was looking too good. I will give Hannity credit. He finally regained control of the debate as far as like forcing at least Newsom to be able to answer the questions. The one thing I don't like that DeSantis is doing is just a lot of soundbite answers. I mean, give me something to tell me why Newsom's wrong. And those are just my observations. Just
Yeah, you
quick-
have when it comes to Newsom, you have to be a pit bull. You have to basically put him in his place. You cannot give the talking points of the GOP. We know the talking points of the GOP. You don't repeat them. Do something different.
Yeah, agreed. And the other thing is, it's just, if this is a red state, blue state debate, which is what it's billed as, I mean, I understand what each man is trying to do here. I mean, Newsom's trying to audition to run for president. DeSantis is trying to help his presidential aspirations, and we'll see where it goes from here. Quick aside, at one point on YouTube, we had like 600 people watching. So for everybody out there with us tonight, thank you so much for being here. And, we're both Ruben and I are both trying to grow our channels as best we can. So if you like what we're doing tonight and you enjoy our commentary, even if you don't agree with us, you're more than welcome to subscribe to our channel. So we've got a scroll rolling thing going across the bottom. So find our channels and check us out. It looks like they're about ready to go back in here in just a second. I mean, each man has, okay, we're going back in, so I'll hush it now.
Welcome back to Hannity, the great red state, blue state debate. We continue with Governor Gavin Newsom, Governor Ron DeSantis. According to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, these are the numbers for the homeless population in each of your states. It is a big problem around the country.
Interesting.
In the state of California, it is 172,000.
Let's see what happens here.
In Florida, it is 26,000. Now, the per capita numbers are pretty much the same. For California, it is 44 per 10,000 people, while Florida has 12 per 10,000 people. So, Governor DeSantis, I ask you, why the disparity? What are the policies you are implementing that is different from that of California?
California is adopting leftist policies. Gavin Newsom was governor or mayor of San Francisco. He put out a 10-year plan like 20 years ago. He was going to end homelessness. Then a few years later, he had another plan. And now he says he's going to do, and it's only gotten worse. In the last 10 years in California, the homeless has gone up 45%. It's gone down in Florida 45%. But it's caused a huge problem with quality of life in California. The people that flee always bring up this. They've really empowered lawlessness and drug use. And, Gavin Newsom at one point tried to say that California was the freedom state. And I just kind of laughed, like, you're locking people down, you're doing all this. But then I thought about it, California does have freedoms that some people don't, that other states don't. You have the freedom to defecate in public in California. You have the freedom to pitch a tent on Sunset Boulevard. You have the freedom to create a homeless encampment under a freeway and even light it on fire. You have the freedom to have an open air drug market and use drugs. You have the freedom, if you're an illegal alien, to get all these taxpayer benefits. So those are freedoms. They're not the freedoms our founding fathers envisioned, but they have contributed to the destruction of the quality of life in California. And the results speak for themselves. People are leaving the state because they have failed at addressing the homeless population.
Well, I love the rant on freedom. I mean, here's a guy who's criminalizing teachers, criminalizing doctors, criminalizing librarians, and criminalizing women that seek their reproductive care. You're making it harder to vote. You're banning books. I mean, spare me this notion of freedom. Ask the folks at Disney about freedom and free enterprise. Ask the folks at the Special Olympics that you threatened to fine with $27
because they were discriminating against the athletes.
Who goes after Special Olympians
when
it comes to the issue,
Down syndrome,
Ron, of homelessness?
That is wrong. That's being a liberal bully. That's being a bully.
Really?
They had Down syndrome.
Take it.
$27 million.
They were discriminating against
Special
because they were discriminating against the athletes. They wanted to marginalize the athletes, and you wanted the athletes marginalized. That was wrong what you did. These are kids with Down syndrome that just wanted to compete.
I grew up working
you wanted
them
out of the Special
I've been
Olympics.
working with
You're
Special
a liberal
Olympians all
bully.
my life.
You wanted them to be. You wanted them to be
Ron.
ostracized.
You
You should talk to Isabella from Florida. She got to participate because we stood up for her.
This is the way you treat. By the way, no, hold on.
It's your
No,
turn.
let me say, I can handle that. I can handle it. I'm used to that. But you know what?
You wanted her
your
not to
attacks
compete.
on the trans community,
You
your
wanted
attack
her
on the
not
gay
to
and lesbian
compete.
community.
That's wrong.
You attack
She should have been
vulnerable
able to
communities.
compete. And
You
we
attack
stood up
women.
for them, and we made sure they
Again,
could
Ron,
compete.
relax. I can handle it. I'm used to bully. You're nothing but a bully.
You're a
I understand
bully.
that. Intimidating, and humiliating people. That's your calling
Why
card.
did you want the
And by
Special
the way,
Olympians not
how
to be
well
able
is
to
it going
compete?
for you?
Why
How
did you
well
want
is
them
this
not to be able to compete?
How well is this
Why do you
campaign
not
going?
want them to be
He's
able
not
to
going to let me
compete?
talk. So
I
I'll
don't
talk to the
understand why
American
you would
people.
want to discriminate
Again,
against
I'll
an
remind
athlete
you,
with Down
the
syndrome.
blueprint,
He wanted them
the
to be
blueprint
excluded
for
from the
Florida.
Special Olympics.
has put Ron
gentlemen, if
DeSantis
I can.
41 points down
Let's go
to
back.
Donald Trump as you try to get tough
We said
and
that.
out-Trump Trump.
Let's go back to
On
the
the issue of homelessness, it's been an issue for decades in the making in the state of California, ever since we started shuttering down our mental health institutions back in the day, in Ronald Reagan's day. The difference is I'm the first governor in California history to take this head on. We are investing unprecedented resources, more accountability. We've gotten 68,000 people off the streets, close to 6,000 encampments we've gotten off the streets. We've also invested in unprecedented resources in reforming our behavioral health system. Ron has literally the worst mental health system in America, forgive me, outside of Mississippi and Texas. And so with all due respect to being lectured on some of these topics, Ron DeSantis is not the one I'm going to be listening
30-second response. You're, well, I'm looking at total time. Governor DeSantis,
look,
about
this-
2
this-
minutes.
he needs it.
This is a map of San Francisco. There's a lot of plots on that. You may be asking, what is that plotting? Well, this is an app where they plot the human feces that are found on the streets of San Francisco. And you see how almost the whole thing is covered, because that is what has happened in one of the previous greatest cities this country's ever had. Human feces is now a fact of life, except when a communist dictator comes to town. Then they cleaned up the streets. They lined the streets with Chinese flags. They didn't put American flags there. They cleaned everything up. So they're willing to do it for a communist dictator, but they're not willing to do it for their own
That's
people.
I want to get in with the limited time we have left. I want to get, there are two very important issues we have not hit. After the Hamas terror attacks on October the 7th, we have seen what is nothing short of a disturbing outbreak of virulent hatred, anti-Semitism around the world, in the halls of our Congress, on American streets, on college campuses. Last month, outside in Sydney Opera House, in Australia. We've seen it all over Europe, but in Australia, anti-Israeli protesters literally in this day and age chanting, "Gas the Jews, F the Jews." In American cities, we have protesters calling for global Islamic war and demanding that Israel be wiped off the map, or in the words of Congresswoman Tlaib, from the river to the sea. Israel, meanwhile, is vowing to eradicate the terrorist group Hamas. But according to a report in the New York Times this week, U.S. officials have warned Israel that they need more to fight more surgically in Gaza. Governor Newsom, 30 seconds for you. We have to cut back on time.
All right.
How can Israel win the war against this terrorist group using surgical strikes and directions from Joe Biden?
Israel. I visited Israel. I met with families, hostages. I saw videos of children being killed in front of their parents, parents being killed in front of their children. I saw a beheading with a garden hoe. This is not complicated to me. This is a fight between good and evil. Hamas is a terrorist organization, and they need to be eliminated, not just for the people of Israel and Jews around the world, but for the Palestinians themselves. But when it comes to the issue of anti-Semitism, you just mentioned a lot of things that have been occurring on Ron DeSantis's watch. He said nothing.
You're calling him anti-Semitic?
Marching. I'm saying he countenanced anti-Semitism, and now he's finally talking a big game ever since October 7th. How about the masked man marching the street?
Fairness of
Jews
time,
get the rope.
gentlemen.
You said nothing.
Governor DeSantis,
nothing on these issues. Look at the
Hamas
record.
wants nothing
Governor
short
DeSantis.
than a second Holocaust. They want to destroy Israel and wipe every single Jew off the map. Israel has every right to defend itself to the hilt. Biden should not be kneecapping them in any way, shape, or form. And by the way, Biden stranded a lot of American citizens over there. We're trying to get home. So I did an executive order in Florida, and we sent planes over to Israel right in the aftermath of October 7th. And we saved over 700 Americans, mostly Floridians, but not all, because Biden wouldn't do it. Finally, Biden started dumping people in Greece. And then they were sending a bill to the Americans just to get to Greece. If you come to this country illegally, they will pay to fly you all over the place. They'll put you up in a hotel at no expense. But yet our own citizens fleeing a war zone, they're going to send you a bill. Joe Biden failed those people, and we stepped up and got it.
Let me ask you. I want to turn to the
anti-Semitism.
We don't have a lot of time
on your streets for years.
I want to turn to the issue, gentlemen, of China. I talk about this often. Intellectual property theft, unfair trade practices, that China has been hostile to our fighter jets in international airspace, hostile to our Navy in international waterways. We know all about the China spy balloon that happened 8 days right across the United States over military installations. The communist Chinese, they have nationals buying up thousands of acres of ranch land, farmland, and land near military installations. Their hostility towards Taiwan. They are, Governor DeSantis, our #1 geopolitical foe. I don't see that the Biden administration has been tough with them. What would you do differently?
Well, first, in Florida, we banned China from buying land in our state because you're right. You don't want them buying farmland or land near military bases. So we acted. We also got the Confucius Institutes out of our universities. China should not be involved in our universities at all. What you need to do is you need to have hard power in the Indo-Pacific to deter China's ambitions. You need to take the economy and we need to decouple from China. We're dependent on them for so many things. And then finally, we need to get serious about their influence in this country. They shouldn't be able to buy farmland anywhere. I can tell you this, I would not go to China and grovel in front of Xi like Gavin Newsom did. He says China's a partner on climate change. China's adding 2 new coal plants every year. China's laughing at us with what they're doing. So yes, they're the #1 threat we face, and we need to take it seriously. And Joe Biden is not doing that.
This is just a reminder. I think it's a question some people are probably asking. I know Nikki Haley's campaign is asking, when are you going to drop out and at least give Nikki Haley a shot to take down Donald Trump in this nomination?
Damn.
She laid you out.
Please.
You're a walking hypocrite. You're a walking hypocrite on the issue of China. This is the guy that was looking for direct foreign trade from China, was doing trade shows, open up an office.
That's already been debunked. And you talk about
true.
the liberal fact checkers. Even the liberal fact checkers
Donald
did
Trump
that,
himself today called you Red Ron for a reason, because of your complete hypocrisy.
All right, we're almost out of time.
Talking a big game. I confronted Xi on the issue of fentanyl, Ron. I confronted them
not on human rights. You didn't.
I absolutely did, with the foreign minister and the vice president and other leaders in China. You talk a big game. Meanwhile,
we're
you haven't done anything
time.
except tweet things
Final
out.
Question, Governor DeSantis, we owe you about 90 seconds, but you get the last word as per the coin flip.
What are you giving me? 5 seconds? What do I get?
No, I'll do okay. I'll be a little more generous than that.
That was smooth by Newsom.
It's been a very passionate debate tonight. Actually, it's been fun to be a part of. I think the American people will decide. Governing philosophies could not be more different. But let me ask you this, kind of a fun question. You both clearly love your states. You visited each other's state. Governor DeSantis, you can take as much time as you want. You have an extra 90 seconds. What is your favorite thing about the state of California? And
I give him 5 minutes for this.
go right ahead.
That's a good question.
The right answer, buddy.
When
5 minutes, Governor.
When I got orders as a Navy lieutenant to go to Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, I had not spent any real time in California in my life. Florida native, and I'm very proud of the state. But I got down there, and that Strand is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And then all up and down, just a tremendous coastline. I do believe California has more natural advantages than any state in the country, which is why when you have so many people leaving on net, that's hard to do. Like, people don't want to leave there because it really is such a beautiful area. And I'm proud of the military installations that are there. I'm proud of what the Navy's been able to do in conjunction with the state. It was really important duty. It really helped forge me as an individual and as an American. And so I'll always have very, very fond memories of that nice Strand down there in Southern California.
I love that. I mean,
what do you
Reagan,
no, what do you I don't know what you love
Reagan
about
used to
California.
call California Coast of Dreams. By the way,
What do you love about Florida?
What I love about your question is the comedy in the question, meaning, you know what? We all want to be loved. We need to be loved. We all want to be protected, respected, and connected. I think there is a unity frame here.
Okay.
You said it well. I mean,
Come on.
Ron, I have no doubt Ron DeSantis loves this country. I love this country. It's not about red versus blue. It's red, white, and blue. The United States of America. And I think we're all better off, and we're all better off. And so I appreciate this conversation. I appreciate you, Ron, being a family man. You got 3 incredible kids. I appreciate your wife, your sacrifice, and I appreciate your military service.
Yeah,
but also, we do have fundamental differences about the fate and future of this country. And that's why I'm going to be working so hard to get Joe Biden and Kamala Harris reelected in 2024.
You couldn't resist. You had to go right back to 2024. All right, here's the last question. Would you do this again?
Well, you know
I
what?
hope we could do
you know who
another
should be
half hour.
debating?
I got all night.
Joe
Let's
Biden
keep
should show
doing
up
it.
to a debate.
That's why I
Listen,
want to give him 5
show up
minutes.
to a
I have
debate.
another 20 minutes, and I've got a lot of
Ron,
questions.
I'm happy to.
You want to stay?
Let's just do an extended hour.
I'm
I'm happy to do it.
Okay, then
This has been fun.
I think it's been fun, and I think it's been more entertaining. I'm sorry to the guests that I've been invited. I got to take a break, though. In the meantime, we've got to pay some bills. It's not a cheap set we built for y'all. I hope you like it. Courtesy of your favorite channel, Fox News, and you do admit you watch often. We'll take a break. They've agreed to stay. Well, that's, I guess, a debate on the fly. We'll continue on the other side and later have live post-debate coverage. We are in Alpharetta, Georgia, the great red state, blue state debate as we continue.
Okay, I give Sean Hannity credit right there. That's like a radio improv move. He knew he was running out of time. He got both of them to say, "Go for it. Let's go some more." I give Hannity credit right there as a host. That's pretty amazing. For those of you who are here with us, and maybe you just dropped by, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. This is my colleague Ruben Christopher Haynes. We're doing commentary and coverage of the Newsom DeSantis debate. I'm going to throw it to you, Ruben. What do you think about round 4?
Well, Newsom answered better in a sense, basically thanking him for his family and stuff, bringing that up. But DeSantis did do good job. But again, if he talk about the people. It's again, people from California are not bad people. People who are in New York are not bad people. The government and the elite are the ones that are the problem, in my opinion. So the thing is that if you have to you're going to have to build bridges. Why don't demonize people of a state? You basically say, we want you to be like we are. That's the whole idea. And he did lead to that aspect of it here, but talking about his military service and all that, but he did a good job. But right now, again, Newsom is slick. It's water off a duck. And he shows it and doesn't answer questions, but then we'll see what happens this next portion, But I'm really appreciative of everybody that's here doing this, and it's a really good night.
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, to our audience here on YouTube, there's like still over 500 people here, and this is just like I said,
I can't believe it. I mean,
we're both excited because as relatively new content creators, to have an audience this big watching something like this with us and being willing to put up with our shenanigans is just very humbling. And
I did a look of other streamers who are much more prominent than we are, and they have half the numbers or less.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'll tell you off the screen who has less, like half less, and I'm going, what? It's weird.
Yeah, and we're over on Rumble. There's someone there goes by the handle Stubborn Bull 68. Thank you very much. This is so kind of every last one of you. I mean, agree with us, disagree with us, like Newsom, like DeSantis. We're glad you're here. My thoughts on round 4. I thought DeSantis was kind of weak with the whole "you're a liberal bully." Oh God, oh no, that came across as just being unmanly, frankly. I do think DeSantis recovered well with the poop map.
Yes.
I thought that was an effective prop. I thought Newsom really screwed up insinuating that Ron DeSantis somehow is anti-Semitic. That was weak.
Yeah.
I thought one of the best rhetorical flourishes that DeSantis had, Newsom said, "I confronted Xi," and then DeSantis said, "Not on human rights, you didn't." That was good. That tagged him. Verbally speaking. And finally, if I were a resident of the state of Florida, I would be so insulted right now. Gavin Newsom could not find one single solitary good thing to say about the state of Florida. It was a presidential pitch. It was nothing more than, hey, this is why I ought to be the nominee. But the thing he's not saying out loud is, I ought to be the nominee now, but I can't do it. But you really ought to think about me for somewhere down the line. It just, it's a question where you have the chance to be gracious. And he
started it that way. He pivoted.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I thought it was Yeah, but I must admit, I give Hannity credit. Going back to what I said at the top of this break, the fact that he's got these two guys roped in for another 20 minutes. Go, baby! I got time. I think Ruben's got time.
Here we go.
Okay, here we go. We're back in.
All right, welcome back to Hannity, our red state, blue state debate. By mutual agreement, both candidates had other commitments, and they realized afterwards they couldn't stay longer, but we appreciate them all being here tonight. Okay, what did you think about it? Was there a winner, loser, winners, losers? You get to react. Anyway, here joining us, co-host of The Five and former Democratic Congressman Harold Ford Jr.,
step out now.
along
It's
with
not
the
that I
co-host
don't
about
enjoy
number,
Harold
Kaylee
Ford,
Fox News
McEnany, or
contributor
Ari Fleischer.
Kaylee,
we don't need
but
that.
I'm gonna. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna bring it back just to Ruben and I at this point. So let me take this down. And okay, folks, that was the debate. And honestly, for its shortcomings, just speaking for myself, I thought it was pretty remarkable, all things considered. Ruben, you want to give me your overall thoughts about it? We can go for another 15 minutes and we'll wrap it up at 11 o'clock for people who are still here.
Yeah, when you were invited me to come on here, I said, yeah, I'll do it. Because again, I'm nonpartisan when it comes to this. I don't have a skin in the game, regardless of this. But I wanted to know and I told you this before, what do the handlers of these people are selling. And they basically toed the party line. The good thing here is that Newsom showed himself as a slick politician. That's what
I'll
he
agree
is.
with that. I will
He's
agree
slick,
with that.
and he's polished, and
Yeah.
he's confident to a psychopathic level in a way.
Yeah, that's a little harsh.
I know. But again, the way he touted himself with the French Laundry, the way he talked about the whole cleaning up, because Xi Jinping when he came over and he cleaned up, and the whole idea, and all of the just outright not answering questions and pivoting them correctly to his benefit, showed the kind of person he is. DeSantis, again, he needs to be more polished. He has good points, but when he feels he's getting cornered, he did that. Like he said, he'll lash out in ways that are not the way he should. Trump can do it. Reagan can do it. And to a certain extent, Clinton did it. Very, very, very good at deflecting things and pointing things out. But he has to be more polished. So if this helps him in the future, yes. If he basically does better performance against other Republicans, good for him. But right now, again, I'm just glad being here, and that's what I say. It was a very good debate in that regard. But again, it showed who is good at a good. What is it? Being good at debate doesn't mean that your argument's solid, and that's Newsom's issue.
Yeah.
DeSantis is not a good debater, but had good points. So that's the whole idea. So you have to have the substance and the charisma equalized. And if they're not, there's a disconnect, and it seems just, struggling and fighting for things. But again, Newsom, very slick, but you know what he stands for.
Yeah, I will say this, regardless of what happens in 2024, and if Joe Biden does go on to be the nominee of the Democratic Party for this upcoming presidential election, if this was Gavin Newsom's audition, I think he's got the job for 2028. Now, he'll have competition, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But from a standpoint of burnishing his credentials on a national stage, I think he did very well. I think I'm starting to see why Newsom agreed to this debate. This is not about 2024 necessarily.
Right.
It's about the long term. And for that, I mean, as a tactical politician, as somebody who's watched politics all my life, I'll give Newsom a ton of credit. I may disagree with him politically. I may think every idea he's got sucks, which they do. But I give him credit. The guy's smart. Overall, like a lot of this is not a presidential debate, but it has similarities. I didn't like the constant talking over each other, but unfortunately that's become a staple of modern day debate. I thought that on balance, Newsom was more effective in terms of scoring style points.
Yes.
I thought that DeSantis brought more facts. I don't know how well he presented them. The other thing about DeSantis is, and I'm not trying to bash the gentleman. So if there are people out in the audience who are watching this right now, and you're like, "Oh man, I can't believe you're saying all this about DeSantis," he's got certain nervous tics when he speaks, and if a camera catches him at just the right moment, it doesn't look good. Now, everybody has that. I mean, I have them. Ruben has them. We all have them. I'm just saying that if you're going to be on that kind of that big of a platform, then as much as you can, you've got to take that internal deep breath and bring it under control. I thought that as the debate went on, I thought DeSantis did better. Maybe by that third round, he was taking that internal deep breath and it was just coming across smoother. But, is there a winner or loser out of this? Yeah. Well, yeah. And I think Mr. Conservative Inc. here is right. Yeah. DeSantis had the facts, but Newsom had some good arguments, I thought the debate was good despite its shortcomings. I thought you guys in chat tonight have been absolutely fantastic. And I'm not saying that to suck up to you guys. Don't get me wrong here. I mean, honestly, you guys have been lively. You've been bringing good points, regardless of who you're for or what your political ideologies or anything else. You guys have been a joy because I've been watching you guys, in chat as much as I could while trying to pay attention to the debate. You guys have been absolutely fantastic tonight. So this is what we're trying to do. I mean, Ruben does things like this on his channel. I do things like this on my channel. And, we still got 300 and some folks here. So, yes, I'm going to do a commercial right now. If you're not a subscriber to Ruben's channel on YouTube, it's scrolling across the bottom right now. Give him a sub. If you're not a subscriber to my channel on YouTube and Rumble, yeah, I'm greedy. I'm on 2 platforms. Give me a sub on both of those. We'd love to have you. But for everybody who's been here tonight, I think at one point we were like briefly over 600. And
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I know a lot of that is the fact everybody's trying to find a place to watch this, and I respect that. I totally understand that. I'd be the same way if the shoe were on the other foot. But you guys, y'all have been absolutely awesome, and I mean that. I've been doing this now for 8 months. Ruben's been doing it for a little bit longer, and to have an audience that big for one of these live streams. No, well, I could make a bad joke right now. I'm not going to take the bait, Ruben.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No. But the thing I'll have to say this, and again, I met Brian in, what was it, Orlando?
Yeah, Orlando, October
last year, and again, I was much bigger then at the time and couldn't walk. But what the most important thing here is that we have been talking about the election season. And we want to do shows like this for next year because I love debate. I love politics. I love civics. And we know that we all love it. And we're going to basically do this format is what we love because it's basically listening, providing commentary, discussing, and we're fine tuning this. And I want to be a better person myself in understanding this. I love the political aspect. Newsom has some great points. DeSantis had great points. Newsom said some things he shouldn't have said. DeSantis says he shouldn't say. But that's the whole debate is beautiful. It is part of the human condition where people can come together, have differing opinion, and then leave, shaking a hand, leaving. Because again, we're all not the same. We're not a hive mind. We're individuals. And as a conservative myself, and I'm not a Republican, I'm a conservative. It's a philosophy. I believe, and again, I my life's in my hands. I take it. You see my channel, what I'm going through right now, because I believe in a brighter tomorrow, and I believe in a brighter future. No matter what we're going through, no matter what's going on in the world, I know that no matter what happens, that I'll be here to stand up for my fellow Americans and the freedom that they want. And I'm glad being here with you, Brian, and everybody here. And I'm really I couldn't believe it was 600 people. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
I was totally shocked when I saw that number. I messaged Ruben behind the scenes. I was like, man, this thing just touched over 600, and I'm just
Well,
I am tickled to
I've been
death.
I've been putting out the tweets and and all that stuff,
Yep.
because again, this is very important, because again, you can go anywhere else and watch a talking head talk about it, but watching real people who are out here with living in real lives with real situations, and again, a love of politics and civics and the whole aspect of the American political spectrum, and
Yeah.
seeing this is important.
Yeah, and to answer Eric D's question, they have finished the debate for tonight. They are doing live coverage on Fox News right now. They're getting commentary from a lot of the people who are the regular panelists. But yeah, and we've got a comment here. Came across this stream after dialing up Rumble. Thank you for not. Well, we started to do that at first, but then I got somebody yelling at me in the chat going, "Shut up!" And I'm like, okay. Happy to hear your thoughts after hearing the participants talk. Thank you. Yeah, I think Ruben and I have stumbled upon a format that works for us. And to go to Mr. Conservative Inc.'s, yeah, I mean, if we have struck gold here as far as
Let's
how
do
we
it.
structure this, then yeah, I'm all for doing this next week. So yeah, I'd be tickled to death to come back and do this again for the next Republican debate. But yeah, you guys have been awesome tonight. For my part, I like conversations. I love politics. I've followed it most, if not all, my life. And you sometimes hear people say this is the most important election of our lifetimes. Well, and I'm not trying to get sappy when I say this. This one may very well be, for a lot of different reasons, which I won't necessarily dive into those right now, but because we're trying to wrap this up. And yeah, you guys have been absolutely fantastic. I love every last one of you for being here. Even if you don't necessarily, subscribe to my channel, I liken what I do to an electronic front porch where you can come pull up a chair, pour yourself a cup of coffee. And as my dad used to say, we try to solve the world's problems. That's how we do it here in the South. You we don't hide our crazy. We just parade it on the streets.
Well,
But,
we're both Southern boys, even though I don't sound like it. I'm a native Texan, so I'm Texas born and bred, and down in the South, California, Arizona. But again, the majority of my life as an adult was in Chicago and the North. But I still have affinity for the South, and I want to go back there. So, and I was in Florida for 2 years. I'm a voter for Ron DeSantis.
I am American by nationality, Southerner by birth, and West Virginian by the grace of God. So I'm blessed 3 times over. Praise the Lord. But yeah, there you go. But yeah, you guys have been absolutely awesome tonight. Ruben, I mean, these two are going to cross paths again at some point in the future. We're talking about Ron DeSantis,
Exactly.
and Gavin Newsom. Long term for each of them, what do you think they take? Even if they don't do this red state, blue state kind of debate again, these guys are going to do this sort of thing somewhere down the line. What do you think each of them takes from this that they now have learned about each other? Because I mean, not that they're going to like immediately go home and start saying, let's start writing up notes for, 2 years from now or whatever. But, do you think that they come away from this learning something about each other tactically in a debate format, or learn something about the person's quirks, or what do you think they take from each other in this?
Well, DeSantis must realize now how slick an operator that Newsom is. Newsom mentioned political fact because, again, that's a left-leaning source of following up facts. So Newsom will have the mainstream media on his side. DeSantis needs to know this for the future. He started doing this because I was watching that DeSantis's Twitter account was putting out clips. So he is actively doing things. So what DeSantis needs to do is, again, stick to the facts completely. Do not let this guy stray off, and then reel in the childish bully stuff and hit him with the facts. make it where he got it. He almost got him where it hurts. You saw him squirm when it came to the parental rights thing.
Yes,
He was
absolutely. I thought that was DeSantis' best moment of the debate.
yes,
Absolutely.
but the thing is, he has to hit him harder. He has to again when you have a narcissist and you confront them and make it uncomfortable for him. And then DeSantis needs to man up too, also with his responses.
Well, let me take what you just said with a slightly different tack. I'm not so sure it's DeSantis needs to hit him harder. He needs to hit him more effectively.
Yeah.
It almost felt like, you know,
Tactically. Laser focused.
yeah, with more laser focus. I mean, it's one thing to take a big haymaker swing at somebody if you're in a prize fight. It's another thing to just like flick a jab and just keep doing it. Flick a jab, you know, verbally speaking, of course. YouTube, we're not talking about violence.
Like Trump does. Like Trump
Yeah,
does.
exactly. You flick a verbal jab. And I think if DeSantis learns how to do that, having come away from this debate with Newsom, then I think it serves him better down the road, be it in the Republican debate next week or, you know, somewhere in the future. For Newsom, I think he's learned about DeSantis. He's got an idea how to press DeSantis's buttons. That's the best way I know how to say it.
Yep.
I'm not gonna say he's got the book on Ron DeSantis,
No.
but I think Newsom watched him enough to realize how and where to hit him. Because at certain points you could tell when DeSantis was being affected by Newsom's argument. You could see it. And that's where I think they both learned something about each other. Well, I tell you what, I know we've still got 200 and some folks here on stream. So before we get out of here, I want to give each of us a chance to give commercials for ourselves. Ruben, where can people find you on social media? What have you got coming up in the near future as far as videos or live streams? You know, tell everybody where they can find you, follow your work, and listen to what you got to say.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you for this, Brian. You could find me on X at Ruben Haynes. I use my real name everywhere, Christopher Haynes. Just look me up. You can Google me. I'm everywhere. And what I've been doing for the last year is I have cracked the code regarding my illness. I have a very rare autoimmune condition. I've had it for a little over 8 years, and it has sidelined me. And I refused to go what the doctors wanted. So I've been healing myself naturally, and I've been documenting my progress. Over the last year, I've lost 250 pounds. And again, I'm going to, for the next 30 days, round out leading up to where will I be at the end of the year. And I will be launching other channels on Rumble and on YouTube. When I hit 250, I will be launching a channel called Alt-Right Fitness, because I'm a troll too when it comes to this aspect, because again, fitness is very important to me now in health. So I cover health, wellness, because men's health issues are very critical to me. There are more men that are self-deleting right now ever right now. Kids are doing it. And again, it's all about finding our worth. We have to find our worth in what we're doing, and that's my whole idea. I'll also be launching a talk with Gary from Nerd Erotic, Jay Drunk 3PO, and a few others like Jeremy and all that, and Ryan, about Chris Gore in the realm of starting to be a producer, because I want to start helping content creators. I've had a conversation with Brian and others about this, where helping them with their channels, helping them grow. If you need a website done, if you need us help with anything, building something, as I want to help build that alternative economy like Ripa does. And that's what I'm doing. That's the big thing for 2024. Also getting more into the political aspect and helping out, because helping people understand what's out there. So you find me on Rumble, find me on Instagram, find me on Twitter, and find me on YouTube, everywhere. Just call Ruben Christopher Haynes. I use my real name because I consider myself the John Hancock of the fellowship, somebody who puts his name out there and just wants everybody to get along, and love each other, because love is the answer in the darkness that we're having. But there's a light, and that light is within you. And I'm glad being here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ruben. It's been a pleasure as always. For my part, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm known on social media as the Front Porch Conservative. I have a channel on YouTube. I have a channel on Rumble. Please feel free, if you like what I'm doing with my videos and my live streams, please feel free to subscribe to both places. I have regular videos through the week, and they're posted again on both channels. I'm on Twitter. You can find me at the Front Porch C1, which you can see over here. Down, yeah, that thing.
Yeah, right there, right there.
I'm still getting used to camera left and camera right. So yeah, there. On weekends, and it's being referred to in chat right now, I do a live stream. Normally, I do it on Saturday mornings called Front Porch Brunch. It's from 10:30 to 12:30 a.m. 10:30 a.m. 12:30 p.m. Eastern, where we do a review of items in the news. As my good buddy Robert Lowry has said, this weekend is being done on Sunday. And the reason being, I have a family event Saturday morning, which kind of conflicts. So we're going to move it to Sunday morning. You can find me Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. To 12:30 p.m. on YouTube and Rumble and Twitter. We'll be doing a review of the news. Ruben, once again, I want to thank you so much for being here. And again, for everybody who was here tonight. And I realize folks are slipping out, and I get it. We've all got lives. We've got to get ready for work tomorrow and all that. But for everybody who was here tonight, participated with us, watched this with us, we love you. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how much this night means to me in terms of being a new content creator. So God bless every one of you. And with that, we're going to sign it off. I'll see all of you guys this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. on YouTube and Rumble and Twitter. Thank you guys so much. We love you, and have a great night.